Chapter 934. After Su Che heard this, he wanted to complain in his heart. That was before he was taught a lesson by his young madam. I did something wrong. I'll apologize to him. Don't worry. If he wants to hit me or scold me, it's up to him. But I won't let him hurt you. In reality, the old man at home was already waiting anxiously. No matter how great the hatred was, it couldn't compare to the safety of a family. Old Master Xing knew his physical condition very well. To be able to see his grandson home, he already had no regrets in his life. How could he ask for more? Soon, the black Bentley drove into the Xing family's house. It was already late at night, but every light in the Xing family's house was still warm. Xing Kai's eyes almost turned red when he saw this familiar house. Second young master, go in. Old Master Sheng is still waiting inside. Seeing that Xing Kai had not moved for a long time, Su Che quickly reminded him. Xing Kai turned his head and held Song Qiaoji's hand. He mustered up all his courage and walked towards the Xing family's door. Xing Xiao was right. No matter what he did outside, the only people who could forgive and tolerate him were his family. Grandpa was angry. At most, he would just beat him up, but he would never force him to kill or set fire to the house. But Song Jiang was different. The white wooden door was gently pushed open by Xing Kai. Then, he saw an old man with a walking stick standing at the entrance with a complicated expression on his face. Xing Kai knew that he had let the old man down. He took 3 steps forward and knelt down heavily in front of the old man. When Song Qiaoji saw this, she also knelt down. Grandpa, only Xing Kai himself knew how heavy the word grandpa was. He had left the family he used to hate, but after he left, he was only used and devoured by his enemies. You've lost weight, and you've become darker, but you're more energetic and mature. The old man wanted to bend down with his walking stick, but he couldn't even do such a small movement. Get up. It's good that you're back. No, Grandpa, I'm a sinner of the Xing family. I'm in the wrong. No matter how wrong you are, you're still my grandson. As a grandfather, how can I feel good hearing you make mistakes outside? Grandpa Sheng was a little choked up. Do you know what I was thinking when 8th brother said you were coming back? Even if I die, my eyes are clear. Even if I die immediately, I can explain to your grandmother in the underworld. So, it's good that you're back. Don't worry about whether it's right or wrong. Just live a good life in the future. Grandpa Xing threw away his walking stick, bent down slightly, and finally patted Xing Kai's shoulder as he wished. Xing Kai originally thought that he would feel better if Grandpa Xing could hit and scold him. But Grandpa Xing did nothing and easily forgave him. So, as a man, he couldn't hold back his emotions and cried out in front of his grandfather and his wife. In the future, I won't be willful anymore, Grandpa. That's good, good. Both grandfather and grandson's eyes reddened. Get up, get up. However, Xing Kai still did not get up. He looked at the woman beside him and said to Grandpa Xing, Grandpa, this is Qiaoji. Although she's from the Song family, she saved me and helped me. I hope Grandpa can accept her and not make things difficult for her. 8th brother has already told me about this matter. You young people should deal with your own matters. I can't care about it now. Qiaoji, thank you, Grandpa. After Song Qiaoji heard this, she quickly kowtowed. Thank you, Grandpa. I will be filial to you with Kai. You're all good children. Get up. We'll talk about other things tomorrow. Now, go back to your room and rest. Take a good shower. Tomorrow, I want to see my former high-spirited grandson. Xing Kai held Song Qiaoji's hand, stood up, and bowed to Grandpa Xing again. Thank you, Grandpa. Grandpa Xing waved his hand and gestured for the two of them to quickly wash up. Xing Kai turned around with Song Qiaoji and returned to his old room. Nothing here had changed. The room was still there, which meant that Grandpa Xing had never really been angry with him. However, when he thought of what he had done wrong, Shinkai felt very ashamed. Song Qiaoji looked around Shinkai's room. It was as if she could see how heroic the second young master of the Xing family was. Staying with her in the Song family was a fatal blow to him. Shinkai took out a shirt from the closet and handed it to Song Qiaoji. He looked very apologetic. Wear my shirt to sleep tonight. Tomorrow, we'll buy some clothes for you. From now on, you'll be the ugly daughter-in-law of the Xing family. Song Qiaoji felt like she was dreaming, so she pinched herself hard. What I said to your grandfather just now was from the bottom of my heart. From now on, I will be filial to him with you. I believe in you. With that, Shinkai hugged Song Qiaoji tightly. We will forget the past. We definitely will. The next morning, just as dawn broke, Mu Qiqi and Xing Xiao arrived at the Xing family's house with Song Qiaoji's clothes. When old Master Xing saw Mu Qiqi, he pouted. You're pregnant, but why do you work and rest like an old man? Don't you need to sleep? It's not even dawn yet. What are you doing here? Mu Qiqi knew that he was concerned, but he didn't mean what he said. She rolled her eyes at him. I'm bringing clothes to your granddaughter-in-law. She can't possibly not have a change of clothes, can she? How can the Xing family lack clothes to wear? The old man snorted. Mu Qiqi didn't reply. His grandson was back, and he was in a good mood, yet he was still bickering. When Xing Xiao saw this, he said to the old man calmly, although second brother is back, he hasn't completely severed ties with the Song family. He is still the legal representative of Changrong Electronics. In order to prevent the Song family from getting hold of him in the future, he still has to deal with the matter of Changrong. Will the Song family let him off so easily? The old man was a little worried. The Song family doesn't want to let him off, but they can't do anything to him. This is all thanks to Song Jiang not trusting him enough and not letting him know about the confidential matters. It's not enough to cause the Song family to kill him. However, there are exceptions to everything. In short, second brother should try not to go out, or bring enough bodyguards. After all, the Song family doesn't like traitors. Why don't we let second brother go abroad to avoid the limelight like third brother? The old man suggested. Guns aren't banned abroad. Mu Qiqi reminded old Master Sheng. All right, don't worry about it. We'll think of a way to settle this matter. Song Jiang really couldn't do anything to Shinkai because he wouldn't expose himself for an insignificant person, right? Xing Xiao was right. This was all because Shinkai didn't come into contact with the Song family's secrets. That was why Song Jiang didn't need to waste his energy to silence him. Chapter 935. The reason why he could control Shinkai back then was because of Shinkai's hatred for the Xing family and Xing Xiao. But now that the misunderstanding between Shinkai and the Xing family had been resolved, it was impossible for Shinkai to stay in the Song family and be used. More importantly, he had kidnapped one of his daughters. Shinkai could go back, but Song Qiaoji had to die. By the time Shinkai woke up, Xing Xiao and Song Qiaoji had already left. Shinkai felt extremely satisfied to be able to wake up from his big bed. Looking at his beautiful wife beside him, Shinkai felt that he had nothing else to ask for in this life. Mu Qiqi brought clothes over. This surprised Shinkai, but he also felt the couple's thoughtfulness. Song Qiaoji picked up one of the black dresses and tried it on. The size was exactly the same. Shinkai was admiring his wife's beautiful body when he was interrupted by a call from Changrong. When he saw the secretary's number, Shinkai immediately had a bad feeling. However, he did not hesitate and directly reached out to answer the call. Hello? CEO Sheng, save me. I've been kidnapped. I'm locked in a small house that doesn't see the light of day. Save me. Before Shinkai could speak, he heard a very calm and evil voice on the other end of the line. Great trader, CEO Sheng, how are you? Do you know where this is? Do you know that your secretary is about to leave a suicide note and leave this world forever, just like the previous employees? This is all because of you, because of Song Xiaoji. If you don't want to make a big deal out of this and don't want innocent people to take the blame for you, then send Song Xiaoji back to Master Song's side. The Song family is where she belongs. I'll give you 3 minutes to think about it. If you refuse, just wait to collect your secretary's corpse. When Xingkai heard this, he felt as if he had fallen into an ice cellar. After putting down the phone, he looked at Song Xiaoji, wanting to say something but hesitating. Song Xiaoji had just finished trying on the dress. When she saw Xingkai's expression in the mirror, she knew that something must have happened again. What's wrong? Did my father threaten you again? It's fine. Xingkai hugged Song Xiaoji in his arms. Then, he made up his mind and said, I won't admit defeat this time. I'll call eighth brother. I believe he has a way. What exactly is it? Don't worry about it. Just promise me that you'll stay by my side forever. Xingkai hugged Song Xiaoji and refused to let go. Promise me first, Xiaoji. If you're not by my side, then there's no point in living. Song Xiaoji's body trembled when she heard this. In the end, she still nodded. I promise you. Because she could feel how uneasy Xingkai was at that very moment. After getting Song Xiaoji's answer, Xingkai immediately dialed Xing Zhao's number and walked out of the bedroom with his phone. Eighth brother, I've been threatened. The Song family threatened me. If I can't make a decision to send Xiaoji back within 3 minutes, they'll hurt my secretary and forge a suicide note, just like every employee who died in Changrong. On the other hand, Xing Xiao was much calmer in his office. He didn't even bother to frown and just said, he wouldn't dare. Old eighth? Song Jiang wouldn't create a murder case for Song Xiaoji because he knows very well how much attention Bai Sini's case has attracted. He wouldn't want to be targeted by the police. You guys aren't powerful enough. Xing Xiao calmly analyzed the reason for him. But it's very likely that they'll cripple my secretary or my secretary's family or leave them half dead. It was one thing for him to be crippled, but Xingkai didn't want to implicate others. Xing Xiao was silent for 2 seconds. Finally, he answered Xingkai, promise him first. I'll go negotiate with him. Old eighth, do you have a chance of winning? We'll only know after we talk. Xing Xiao couldn't give him an accurate answer right now. If this matter isn't resolved as soon as possible, he'll change his mind in the future and use 10,000 similar methods to threaten you. When that time comes, you'll never have a day of peace. Tell me the way to settle this once and for all. I'll do whatever it takes. Xing Xiao told Xingkai the truth. Some things weren't that optimistic. There's no way to settle this once and for all, but I can make him forget about your existence. However, you have to get through this first. Even so, Xingkai still felt hope. As long as I don't have to hand over Xiaoji, I'm willing to go all out. You have to pay a price to kidnap someone's daughter. Xing Xiao smiled gently. 3 minutes are almost up. Xing Xiao gave Xingkai a few more instructions over the phone. After that, the two of them hung up. The other party immediately called back. Are you asking for help, President Sheng? Are you calling the police? Or is it Xing Xiao? Let my secretary go. I'll agree to your conditions. I won't let her go before I see Mississippi. You should understand, right? The other party laughed. Besides, you agreed too quickly. It makes me feel insecure. Then what exactly do you want? I'll send someone to pick up Mississippi. She came out of the Xing family alone. I don't want to be schemed against by Xing Xiao. President Sheng, a life is at stake. I believe you won't object, right? Besides, Song Xiaoji is a member of the Song family. It's only right that Mr. Song wants his daughter back. You don't have to suffer too much. Mr. Song won't mistreat his daughter. When Xingkai heard this, his left hand clenched tightly into a fist. At this moment, he was deeply angry at his own incompetence. Song Xiaoji had already heard the phone call between Xingkai and the other party from behind the door. In fact, she was already mentally prepared. Even if Song Jiang could let Shinkai go, he would never let her go. Yesterday was the happiest day of her life. She was already satisfied. At least, she had a beautiful dream, and this dream was given to her by Shinkai. In the dream, she had a happy family and a husband who loved her as much as his life. But reality was so cruel. She didn't want to make things difficult for Shinkai, nor did she want to implicate innocent people. So, when Shinkai hung up the phone, she immediately went forward and hugged Shinkai's waist. Send me back. Don't feel sorry. At least we had it. Xiaoji, believe me. I will never give up on you unless I trade my life for it. After Song Xiaoji heard this, she covered his lips. I want you to live. Live well. I believe in eighth brother, so I ask you to believe in him too. He will definitely be able to turn the tide. With that, Shinkai held Song Xiaoji's hand and went to Xingbowen's room to look for a set of jewelry. It was the one that Muqiqi had given to Ren Yufei. It had a GPS system in it. These were the last few words Xing Xiao said on the phone. What are you looking for? Chapter 936. Ren Yufei did not bring it with her. After all, she and Xingbowen were going abroad, so there was no need for her to bring jewelry. Shinkai heaved a sigh of relief when he saw it in Ren Yufei's jewelry box. Whose is this? Song Xiaoji felt a little uneasy when she saw Shinkai holding it in his hand. Shinkai handed it to her and said, there's a small positioning system in this. It can track you. No matter where you are, I can find you. Put it on first. I'll connect it to the positioning system immediately. Song Xiaoji looked at the small jewelry with a complicated expression. You still refuse to give up? I won't give up, and I hope you won't give up either. Shinkai hugged Song Xiaoji tightly. Didn't we agree this morning? Without you, I don't know how to go on. Song Xiaoji leaned into Shinkai's arms and finally nodded. I'll always wear it. Song Jiang asked me to send you out, and they'll let my secretary go. I don't want to implicate anyone, and I believe you're the same. However, no matter where you're taken, you have to remember that I'll always be behind you. At most, we'll die together. When Song Xiaoji heard Shinkai's words, her throat immediately burned. Kai, I can die without regrets to be able to meet you in this life. I don't want you to die, I want us both to live. Having said that, Shinkai pinched her chin and kissed her madly. Don't be afraid. Remember what I said. Even if we die, we will die together. Soon, Song Jiang's men called Shinkai again. Their tone was still evil. Second young master Sheng, how long do you want to dawdle? Your little assistant is in the bathtub and can barely breathe. Are you sure you want to continue wasting each other's time? However, this time, Shinkai turned on the speakerphone. He took Song Xiaoji's phone and turned on the recording function. If I send Xiaoji out, how can I be sure that you'll let my secretary go? Shinkai asked. If I can't see the secretary, I won't send Xiaoji out. You still want to negotiate with me? The other party looked incredulous. I only want a prostitute. Why would I want your lousy secretary? No, since we're making a deal, we have to look like a deal. Otherwise, we'll perish together. Anyway, without Xiaoji, I don't want to live alone. The man was confused by Shinkai's firm tone. He frowned. Do you want to see your secretary's body right away? Then, on the other side of the phone, the secretary screamed. Second young master Sheng, I advise you not to anger me. I don't like negotiating with others. Either hand over the young miss, or collect your little secretary's corpse. Baisini's cases were also handled by you, weren't they? Those young girls didn't commit suicide, right? Shinkai suddenly changed the topic and brought up the previous murder case. Do you know how likely it is that you will attract the attention of the police when you commit the crime today? Do you really think the police can't catch you? If you work so hard for Song Jiang, will he care about your life or death? That's none of your business. Hand her over immediately. I'll have your secretary call you back within 5 minutes after I pick up the young lady. With that, the man hung up the phone. Xing Kai had also successfully recorded the conversation between him and the kidnappers, and sent the recording to Xing Xiao. All right, Kai, it's time for me to go. After he was done, Song Qiaoji cupped his face and said, Be careful. When you go out, I'll drive behind you. I believe in you. With that, Song Qiaoji tiptoed and tried her best to kiss his lips. She didn't know if she would live or die, but Song Qiaoji was really satisfied. Having last night was already her greatest happiness. She wouldn't ask for more. I'll send you out. The two of them walked out of the room hand in hand and appeared in front of the old man. The old man was in a good mood. He wanted to chat with the two of them for a while, but seeing that they were in a hurry to leave, he didn't force them. He only asked, Are you coming back to have lunch with me? When Xing Kai heard this, he felt his throat burn. After a few seconds, he smiled and said, We'll come back to have dinner with you. That's fine. Let's go out on a date. The old man didn't mind. He had no idea that once the two of them went out, they might be separated by life and death. The two of them didn't look at old Master Sheng and walked out of the Xing family's door. Not far away, a black car honked at the two of them. They must be from the Song family. Xing Kai held Song Qiaoji's shoulder and seriously said to her, Remember what I said. You must remember it well. I got it. I'm leaving, Kai. Song Qiaoji hugged him tightly. I love you. Xing Kai watched as she got into the other party's car. Soon, the car left Xing Kai's line of sight. At this time, Xing Kai immediately took out his phone and located Song Qiaoji's route of departure. However, he didn't move. He was controlling his urge to chase after her immediately. Time ticked by. On Xing Kai's side, only 5 minutes had passed. Then, he dialed the other party's number. Let go of my secretary. When I'm sure no one is following, miss, I'll naturally let go of your secretary. You said 5 minutes. All I said was, get your secretary to call you in 5 minutes. With that, the other party handed the phone to Xing Kai's secretary. CEO. CEO, I'm sorry. Are you all right? Xing Kai tried his best to suppress the anger in his heart and asked the secretary. I'm fine. Don't worry. However, before Xing Kai could say anything else, the other party snatched the phone from the secretary's hand. Since you've left the Song family, you're no longer a member of the Song family. Everything in the Song family has nothing to do with you, including Mrs. Life and Death. With that, the other party hung up. Xing Kai immediately turned on the GPS and chased after Song Qiaoji according to the route she had taken. Eighth brother. Everything depends on you. He had to chase after Song Qiaoji because he had promised her that even if he died, the two of them would die together. This time, he would not go back on his word. As for Xing Xiao, he had already prepared the bargaining chips and had Su Che contact the Song family. When Song Jiang heard that Xing Xiao was going to visit them personally, he found it quite interesting. A young man in his early 30s was challenging the entire Song family. He also wanted to know what kind of ability Xing Xiao had to save Song Qiaoji from his hands. Therefore, he agreed to meet Xing Xiao. The people from both sides agreed to meet at a restaurant at the dock. Since it was a negotiation, they had to have the attitude of a negotiation. Chapter 937. Following the GPS, Xing Kai chased after Song Qiaoji at full speed. However, the location became more and more remote, and the anxiety in his heart became more and more obvious. He had already guessed Song Jiang's goal. Song Jiang would not let the traitor go, and he would not let Song Qiaoji off easily. Then, the little red dot on the phone stopped at a certain place. Xing Kai did not dare to drive any closer. He could only stop the car and head toward the little red dot. It was in a cave on the mountainside. Song Xiaoji was tied up by two men and thrown into the cave. Xing Kai was afraid that she would be hurt, so he shared the location with everyone in his address book before rushing in. He had nothing else on him, nothing but a dagger. Song Xiaoji was thrown into a pile of rocks. Originally, they wanted to humiliate her and starve her to death here. However, Xing Kai's appearance made the two powerful men feel that things had become more interesting. "Ah, Kai, go. Don't worry about me. Go." Song Xiaoji leaned against the rock and shouted. "I won't leave even if I die." Xing Kai walked up to the two men and said, "I know that I have to win today to take my woman away, so I will do whatever it takes." The two men sneered at Xing Kai. They felt that he was here to die. This kind of rich young master did not know his place at all. How dare he stand up for them? "Take her away? You won't be able to take anything away. Similarly, you will die here." The two men did not even deign to attack together. One of them walked toward Song Xiaoji, while the other walked in front of Xing Kai and raised his leg to kick him. Xing Kai was kicked to the ground. In the eyes of the two men, he was so weak that he could not withstand a single blow. Therefore, the man walked toward Xing Kai with a low smile. Unexpectedly, Xing Kai took out the dagger from his ankle and cut his calf. The man angrily stepped forward to snatch the dagger, but Xing Kai jumped on him. Xing Kai ignored him and bit the man's ear. With a shrill scream, blood flowed down the man's ear. The other man could not take it anymore and quickly went over to help. The two of them pressed Xing Kai to the ground and used their strong fists to teach him what it meant to overestimate himself. "Stop fighting. Stop fighting." Song Xiaoji cried. "I have a GPS on me. If you don't leave now, the police will be here." The two men immediately looked up at Song Xiaoji. "Otherwise, how did Kai find me? There's no need for you to go to jail for my father, right?" The two men looked at each other as if they were considering something. In the end, they decided to take the two of them and find a new place to bury them alive. On the other side, the atmosphere was very relaxed. Xing Xiao and Song Jiang officially met at the hotel at the dock. However, Song Jiang noticed that Xing Xiao did not bring Su Che with him today. He only brought a few bodyguards with him. Was he looking down on him? Soon, the two of them sat down in a private room in the Pier Hotel. This was the second time Song Jiang sized up the young man in front of him seriously. Just like the first time they met, he was completely calm and composed, making it impossible for others to see through him. "Why did you ask me to meet on a day like this, President Sheng?" Song Jiang did not want to waste any more time with Xing Xiao. He went straight to the point, wanting to know what Xing Xiao wanted to do. "Since you hate the Shen family, you should target me. You want to deal with me. Shouldn't you let go of the other unimportant people?" Xing Xiao sat calmly in front of Song Jiang. Even though he was a junior, his aura did not lose out at all. He looked like he had the power of thunder. "You're doing this because of Song Xiaoji and Xing Kai, right? Xing Kai wants to leave the Song family, so I'll just treat it as raising an ingrate. The Xing family has already found their son, so why are you still bothering about someone else's daughter? This doesn't make sense." Song Jiang sneered. He picked up his teacup and took a sip. No matter how long the Xing family's hands are, they won't be able to reach the Song family. "Is that so?" "I don't think so." After Xing Xiao said that, he took out his phone from his pocket and placed the call record that Xing Kai had just recorded in front of Song Jiang. "To you, it doesn't matter if you have one more or one less daughter. Why are you so conflicted about such a matter, old Song?" Song Jiang frowned after listening to the recording. However, he could not be threatened by Xing Xiao just like that. "Do you think this is evidence?" "Xing Xiao, you're still too inexperienced. Of course this isn't evidence, and I won't hand it over to the police. But I can hand it over to someone useful. When the time comes, do you think your deputy Liang will draw a clear line with you?" You're not afraid of being exposed, and I don't care. Anyway, this matter has nothing to do with the Sheng and Shen families, but I can use it to make a lot of articles. You're not afraid, and Deputy Liang behind you isn't afraid, but what about above? You're not even fully grown yet. Aren't you afraid of causing a huge commotion? By the way, I forgot to tell you that the old lady has already prepared an open letter about Elder Lu. I don't think your Song family's game will last long. Since you're not afraid, I have nothing to say. Do the men of the Xing family lack women? With that, Xing Xiao took the phone and stood up from in front of Song Jiang. Since there's no way to continue the negotiation, I don't want to waste any more time. You should know that I like to hold a grudge. Today, these things are all dangerous in my hands. When there are more and more of them, I can't guarantee that I won't be able to give the Song family a chance to breathe. I'm not old Master Shen. If I had a choice 25 years ago, I wouldn't have spared a single one. So, you'd better not give me a chance to destroy your Song family. With that, Xing Xiao took a step forward and prepared to leave with his bodyguards. At that moment, Song Jiang took a deep breath and looked up at Xing Xiao. What are the terms of the deal? Let Song Qiaoji go, and I'll give you the original recording. After hearing Xing Xiao's words, Song Jiang suddenly slammed the table and said, Xing Xiao, are you playing with me? You want to exchange a mere recording for my daughter? What about that old lady? That's a different matter. If you want the old lady to let things go, it's not impossible. From now on, don't cause trouble for Song Qiaoji and Xing Kai anymore. Xing Xiao, it won't do you any good if you give me time to recuperate. Song Jiang's face was gloomy as he looked at Xing Xiao with a vicious gaze. When the time comes, it won't just be Xing Kai and Song Qiaoji. Your Xing family will also have to be uprooted. We'll talk about it when you have the ability, Xing Xiao answered without fear. So, are you going to do today's deal or not? If I want to do it, I have to keep them alive. You don't have to worry about that. Xing Xiao sat back on the chair. Chapter 938. My bodyguards are all behind me. Xing Xiao sat diagonally on the chair, his slender legs crossed. Which one do you want, old Song? You know who I'm asking. Song Jiang sneered. Facing such a young man, his emotions were even more complicated. Xing Xiao, being too strong might not be a good thing. Is that so? But I like the feeling of being invincible. This was Xing Xiao's pride. Song Jiang calmed himself down and picked up the teacup again. Young man, let's talk again. Your request is too much. But I don't want to waste this time. Xing Xiao spread his hands. You're the one who wants to expose the murderer in Bai Sini's case. If I were old Song, I would let Song Qiaoji go with a smile. There were no traces of the murderer in Bai Sini's previous cases, but this time, he has appeared. What did it mean to appear? Song Jiang only felt regret now. Doesn't Zhongding have anything to use against you? You can try, Xing Xiao said bluntly. Rules are made for people. No matter who it is, they have to do things according to the rules. But I don't like rules. I like to dominate everything. Then you might be disappointed, old Song. If it's up to your son, he might not be able to hold up the sky. With that, Xing Xiao took out his phone again and placed it in front of Song Jiang. He repeated the recording. Make your decision. Song Jiang was upset and angry, but there was nothing he could do about the young man in front of him. I accept your conditions, but that doesn't mean I've lost. Words are no proof. Write as proof. Xing Xiao, don't go too far. When had Song Jiang ever been humiliated like this by a junior? But the young man in front of him had done it. If he had a gun in his hand, he would definitely send Xing Xiao to hell. But for now, he could only swallow his anger. I'm doing this to save everyone the trouble. With that, Xing Xiao stretched out his hand and placed the prepared paper, pen, and ink in front of Song Jiang. Song Jiang's face turned red and he was almost fuming. I'll settle this score with you sooner or later. Xing Xiao spread his hands again, indicating that he would be waiting for him at any time. On the other side, Su Che led the police and found the cave where the kidnappers had taken Song Qiaoji to. However, because Song Qiaoji had exposed the GPS on her, the two kidnappers took it. There are traces of blood inside. The two shouldn't have gone far. The police surveyed the surroundings and discussed searching the mountain. Su Che looked at the footprints and bloodstains on the ground. The drag marks were so obvious, so he went to look for them. The police followed closely behind. Not long after, Su Che heard the sound of digging on the mountainside. When he rushed over, he saw two men covered in blood burying Xing Kai and Song Qiaoji. In the deep pit, only a portion of their skin and clothes could be seen. When the two men saw Su Che appear, they looked at each other and pounced on him with their tools. However, they were kicked away by Su Che. The other person saw that Su Che was a martial artist, so he turned around and ran. However, before he could take 2 steps, Su Che punched him in the head. Tian Xiao, He Xiao, the police. They are, Xiao, He, all. He's still breathing. He just fainted. Send him to the hospital. Su Che looked at the two of them and sighed. Xing Kai was really going all out for love this time. He used to think that this man was a coward, but now, he felt that he still had some guts and courage. Then, Su Che called Xing Xiao to report. He's been saved, but I'm afraid he'll have to lie in the hospital for 10 days to half a month. As long as he's alive. With that, Xing Xiao hung up the phone and left with the agreement signed by Song Jiang. Thank you, Elder Song. Song Jiang sneered as he watched Xing Xiao walk away. His hands clenched into fists. We'll see. The police arrested the kidnappers and brought them back to the police station. Xing Kai and Song Qiaoji were sent to the hospital. Because Xing Kai's injuries were too serious and he had multiple fractures, he stayed in the operating theater for 3 hours before being sent back to the ward. Song Qiaoji was only unconscious, but she suddenly woke up halfway and sat up from the hospital bed. Kai. Mu Qiqi was at the door of the ward. When she heard Song Qiaoji's shout, she immediately walked in. You're awake? Qiqi, where's Kai? Song Qiaoji immediately grabbed her hand. Kai is seriously injured. Lift the curtain and take a look yourself. Mu Qiqi gestured to her next door. Song Qiaoji quickly opened it and saw Xing Kai lying on the hospital bed wrapped in gauze. She finally heaved a sigh of relief. He won't die, right? He won't die, right? Master Xiao spent so much effort to negotiate. How could he let him die so easily? Mu Qiqi smiled. Don't worry. He's just suffering from external injuries. He just needs to recuperate. What about his secretary? She's also in the hospital. Her injuries aren't serious. That's good. Song Qiaoji immediately relaxed. Only then did she feel that she had no strength left in her body. Lie down and rest. When your body recovers, you can take care of him. Don't you think so? After saying that, Mu Qiqi took out the agreement signed by Song Jiang from her pocket and handed it to Song Qiaoji. Don't worry. In the future, the Song family won't cause trouble for you anymore. You now belong to the Xing family and Xing Kai, second sister-in-law. Song Qiaoji could hardly believe it. However, when she saw the familiar handwriting, she cried out, "Thank you, thank you. In the future, don't let your imagination run wild. Look at that man. He can do so much for you. Cherish the relationship between the two of you." Song Qiaoji turned to look at Xing Kai and nodded vigorously. I know. The old man called and asked you to go back for dinner. However, with second brother's current condition, he probably won't be able to eat. I'll go eat for you. You guys can rest well in the hospital. Let's go. Xing Zhao's voice suddenly came from outside the ward. Mu Chichi responded and patted Song Qiaoji's shoulder. Don't worry about your safety. There are bodyguards outside. Besides, Song Jiang also signed this. He won't dare to go back on his word for the time being. With that, Mu Chichi walked out of the ward and returned to Xing Zhao's side. What was the negotiation between you and Song Jiang like today? I really want to know. If I wasn't pregnant, I would have gone with you. Xing Zhao tilted his head to look at the little one and hooked her chin. It was thrilling and exciting. Then Song Jiang must hate you now. Why? Are you afraid? Xing Zhao put his arm around Mu Chichi's shoulder and led her to the black Bentley. It's not that I'm afraid. I just feel that my man is a true hero. Xing Zhao brought her into the car and protected her abdomen. His expression did not change. But in the future, we might face an even greater crisis. Chapter 939. In the hospital, after Mu Chichi left, the ward suddenly quieted down. When Song Qiaoji saw that there was someone guarding the door, she immediately felt relieved. She got up and closed the door before sitting next to Xing Kai's bed. Then, she stretched out her injured hand and held Xing Kai's palm tightly. Why are you so stupid? I'm not worth your sacrifice at all. It's worth it. The sudden hoarse voice caused Song Qiaoji to suddenly raise her head. Her eyes were filled with surprise. You're awake? You're worth it. Xing Kai was seriously injured, so he did not dare to move. However, when he saw his woman by his side, everything that had happened today was worth it. I'll never leave you again, Ah Kai. We'll never be separated again in this life. Song Qiaoji lay on Xing Kai's body and cried bitterly. When you're better, we'll have a few children. Our family will be together forever. Xing Kai really wanted to raise his hand, but he didn't have the strength. However, the feelings in his heart were very complicated. He had a lot to say, but his body was too tired. That night, Old Master Xing did not wait for Song Qiaoji and Xing Kai to return home for dinner. Instead, Mu Chichi returned to the Xing family home. Call second brother and little Song and ask where they are. It's already 9 o'clock. Why aren't they back yet? There has to be a limit to a date. The old man was very anxious and irritable. It should be said that he had a premonition in his heart. Mu Chichi put down her chopsticks and pressed the back of his thin hand. She said seriously, don't look for them. They won't be back for dinner tonight. They're in the hospital. However, I can promise you that in half a month, they'll definitely come back to eat with you. The old man looked at Mu Chichi. His lips moved, but he could not make a sound. Don't ask why. Second brother wanted to completely cut off his connection with the Song family, so he had to pay a price. Fortunately, all of this has been resolved. Mu Chichi's expression was relaxed, and there was no trace of worry. So, you don't have to worry. Did eighth brother interfere? Mu Chichi nodded. There was no need to hide such things from the old man. The old man sighed and picked up his bowl and chopsticks again. I've always wanted eighth brother to shoulder the burden of the Xing family. But now that he's done it, I can't bear to let this old bag of bones go. Fortunately, there's someone like you by eighth brother's side. I can be at ease. What do you mean by stuff? Mu Chichi was unhappy. You'll be an old man in the future. Eat by yourself. I won't accompany you. Thank you, little seven. Grandpa Xing said from the bottom of his heart, don't think that eighth brother can do anything. If you hadn't connected the family, eighth brother wouldn't have become the mature and steady person he is now. He changed because of you. Of course. Mu Chichi looked smug. So, you have to treat me better. After dinner, Xing Xiao returned to the Xing residence to pick up Mu Chichi after dealing with Zhongting's matters. On the way back, Mu Chichi looked at Xing Xiao like a little fangirl outside with a strong sense of obsession. If you keep looking at me, my clothes will burn, Xing Xiao reminded her as he drove. The old man thanked me just now. Although I've long forgotten those grudges from the past, I still feel a sense of accomplishment seeing him rely on me so much now. So, your wife is a charmer. After Mu Chichi said that, she couldn't help but laugh. Xing Xiao did not cooperate with her performance. Instead, he said to her, when we get home later, you sleep first. I'll go to the Shin residence. Are you going to discuss something important with Dad again? Xing Xiao did not say anything. After the car stopped, he kissed Mu Chichi's forehead and said, I have to protect you guys so that I can be a superhero, right? Go in yourself. Mu Chichi nodded and consciously entered the house. Only then did Xing Xiao go to the Shin residence with peace of mind. Did you expose the old lady's matter to Song Jiang? So, I want to take a different path. Xing Xiao had come today to talk to Shin Jianchuan about this matter. The meeting between Song Jiang and I today is equivalent to signing a truce agreement. However, I have no intention of stopping the investigation into him. Moreover, the old lady can't be the initiator of the whole thing. Why? Shin Jianchuan asked. Because on the day she arrived in Jianchuan, I arranged for her to have a full-body checkup. Today, I received her checkup report. It's early-stage lung cancer. After hearing this, Shin Jianchuan was silent. After a moment, he said, then she has to be treated. I've already made the arrangements, Xing Xiao replied. Shin Jianchuan nodded. Things are unpredictable in the world. I hope the old lady can recover. I promised Song Jiang that I would delete the recording on my phone, but Song Qiaoji and Xing Kai still have the original copy. I will let Tang Yan study it because he can find the murderer of the series of murders from it. However, this matter can only be carried out in secret. Song Jiang hates you the most right now. Shin Jianchuan pointed at Xing Xiao and said, so, you and Chi-Chi must be careful, especially Xiao Qi. She'll be giving birth in a few months. I don't want the Song family to seize the opportunity to cause trouble. That's also your life. You have to hold on tight. As for other matters, leave the education industry to me. Right now, a few big brands are integrating. It's more than enough to fight against Yashang Group. They won't have the chance. Xing Xiao gave Shin Jianchuan an answer firmly. At the Banyan courtyard, Mu Chichi was soaking alone in the bathtub in her bedroom. The little thing in her stomach was growing day by day. Mu Chichi could clearly feel her appetite growing by the day. Seeing that her hands and feet had become thicker, Mu Chichi was a little discouraged. When I give birth, I wonder how fat I'll be. Why are you so fat? You're also my only wife. Xing Xiao leaned against the door frame and answered her muttering. Mu Chichi turned her head and saw the man. She immediately smiled. You're back. How do you do it? Every time you see me, you're exceptionally surprised. Xing Xiao was a little strange. The two of them had only been apart for a short 20 minutes. Don't you want to rub, touch, kiss, and hug me when you see me? I thought that love is like this. Even if you're in front of me, I'll miss you very much. My heart and eyes are filled with you. Every second I see you, I feel very happy. Chapter 940. Mu Chichi widened her eyes and looked at Xing Xiao. They had been husband and wife for so many years, but this man still liked to say sweet words. Just by saying it once in a while, this man's heart would fly into the sky. Good words don't be repeated twice. Xing Xiao lowered his head slightly and bit her neck in the misty bathtub. His posture was very erotic. Huh? Mu Chichi felt her entire body start to tremble, especially after she was pregnant. Every inch of her skin had become more sensitive. How could she bear being bitten by Xing Xiao like this? Xiao Xiao. I'm afraid of you. I'll say it, okay? Let go of me first. It's too late. Xing Xiao had long discovered that she was becoming more and more sensitive, so he had 1,000 ways to punish her. Mu Chichi was afraid that he would be serious, so she quickly stopped him. Be careful. Don't hurt the baby in your stomach. I know what I'm doing. What was a sense of propriety? When Muchichi left the bathroom, she had already fallen asleep. Her face was still extremely red when she was in Xingzhao's arms. As a woman, when she loved someone, perhaps it was as the little thing had said. She wanted to see him all the time, kiss him, touch him, and say that she loved him countless times. This was a woman's mentality. As for a man, if he really loved someone, the most he would think about was sleeping with her. He would sleep with her in all kinds of positions, especially when he saw that she couldn't get out of bed. That kind of satisfaction made a man the most comfortable. However, as a member of the Xing family, this night was a happy and reunited one. However, as a member of the Song family, Song Jiang's expression was gloomy the whole day. Song Buji was deeply afraid that the old man would have a heart attack or a sudden cerebral hemorrhage, so he immediately advised, a loss is a loss. Anyway, you don't care about Song Qiaoji. Just treat it as a greeting gift to the Xing family. Song Jiang slapped the wooden table. You only know how to make sarcastic remarks. It's been 25 years. I, Song Jiang, have prepared for most of my life just to come back and cause trouble for the Shin family. It's to take revenge, not to be taken revenge on by others. Then what way do you have to deal with Xing Xiao? Song Buji asked him. There was no trace of anger in his expression. Dad, it's not that I want to criticize you, but what have you done to vent your anger? Do you really think the police will give up on the investigation of those people at Changrong Electronics? As long as there is new evidence, they can activate the contingency plan at any time. Don't provoke Xing Xiao anymore. We need to stabilize our position in Jianchuan first. Uncle Song brewed a pot of hot tea and placed it in front of Song Jiang. I've always thought that we were in an active position while the Shin family was in a passive position. But now I realize that it doesn't seem to be the case. Xing Xiao seems to be plotting something. Didn't you notice? When Song Jiang was reminded by his son, he immediately thought of the old lady of the Lu family. When Xing Xiao made the deal with him, he had only mentioned it once. It was also because of this that Song Buji discovered the problem. So, please don't come knocking on my door for no reason. There's still a long way to go before the transition. Be as calm as you have been in the past. After hearing his son's words, Song Jiang took a deep breath. He had indeed been agitated by Xing Xiao. He had prepared for so many years, and he was used to being a smiling Buddha. But now, because of a young man, he was pestering him endlessly. It was time for him to reflect. You decide what to do in the near future. I need to go up the mountain to recuperate for a few days. Dad, don't forget that we have to prepare for something big. Song Buji reminded him that only by helping Deputy Liang get the position would he have the right to completely settle the Shin family. Xing Xiao already knows that we have Deputy Liang behind us, so don't contact him for the time being in case he catches anything. We have to get rid of this person. Otherwise, he'll be our biggest obstacle, Song Jiang instructed Song Buji before he left. Dad, if you really can't handle it, invite Uncle Rong back. Song Jiang did not say anything and got up from his chair. Song Buji sat on the chair, drinking red wine as he watched Mu Chichi's past news. The little bride's birth was extraordinary. He did not expect her and her sister to be born with different fathers. The world was really big, and there were all kinds of strange things. It was really interesting. Xing Kai spent the next 10 days in the hospital. Fortunately, his injuries were recovering day by day. Old Master Xing knew that his grandson was in the hospital, but he did not go to see him because he did not want to feel uncomfortable. Therefore, he listened to Mu Chichi's words. He only needed to stay at home and wait for the two of them to come back for dinner. Half a month later, Xing Kai was officially discharged from the hospital. When he was discharged, he called the old man and told him that he wanted to go home and have dinner with him. When the old man received the call, his eyes almost became moist. Hurry up and come back. You've been out for so many days. Aren't you afraid that I'll be worried? At 7:00 in the evening, Xing Kai got into Su Che's car and brought Song Qiaoji back to the Xing family home. Just like the first time, the old man paced around the living room anxiously. As soon as Xing Kai entered the house, he knelt in front of the old man again. "Grandpa, I'm unfilial. Will it still be like this in the future?" Xing Kai shook his head. "I will always stay in the Xing family and by Grandpa's side." The old man waved his hand. Knowing that he was fine, he was completely relieved. "Come and eat. I'm already so old. What else do I have to look forward to?" Xing Kai held Song Qiaoji's hand and formally greeted the other members of the Xing family. Eldest brother, third brother, and fourth brother were all abroad. Only sixth brother had stayed in the Xing family from the beginning to the end. He had also witnessed the changes in the Xing family over the years. Because of Xing Zhao's example, even if Xing Kai brought back the woman of his enemy, he would not be surprised. When they met, he would still call her second sister-in-law. Mu Qiqi and Xing Xiao entered the Xing family's door at 7 in the evening. This time, old Master Sheng was completely satisfied. "In a while, let the butler take a photo of our family." It was rare for Mu Qiqi to see the old man so happy, so she said on behalf of her man, "Old man, now that second brother is back, shouldn't you let Xiao Xiao relax and hand Huang Yao over to second brother?" After hearing Mu Qiqi's words, the old man was stunned as he looked at Xing Xiao and Xing Kai. "I don't care." In the past, before Zhongting merged with Huang Yao, he arrived home on time at 7:30 p.m. With Huang Yao, he can only arrive home at 8:30 p.m. The time he spends with me is obviously much less. No one said anything. At this moment, Xing Xiao calmly said, "He has no choice. Everything has been arranged clearly." Chapter 941. Huang Yao is much easier to manage than before. You don't have to do your best. After Xing Xiao took over Huang Yao, he had used Zhongting's powerful background to optimize Huang Yao's internal structure. The problems from before had long disappeared, and now, the managers were much more relaxed. Then it's decided. Mu Qiqi knew that her man was much more relaxed, so she immediately beamed. "I say, you came back for dinner because of this, right?" The old man saw through Mu Qiqi's intentions and grabbed her. "Others can't even beg for it, but you don't have any intentions at all. This is God's arrangement." Mu Qiqi peeled a shrimp and placed it on the old man's plate. "Speaking of which, what do you plan to do, second sister-in-law?" When Song Qiaoji heard Mu Qiqi suddenly mention her, she said, "I'm an obstetrician, so I still plan to work in the hospital." Then it's decided. It's perfect. Old Master Sheng looked at the family and felt that they were so harmonious and warm. He felt that he had no regrets. Now, his greatest hope was to see eighth brother's child born as soon as possible. Time passed very quickly. Ever since Xing Xiao and Song Jiang stopped fighting, the Song family had indeed quietened down a lot. For 3 consecutive months, there were no more incidents. At present, Feng Shanshan was about to give birth, and Mu Qiqi was 7 or 8 months pregnant. Wherever she went, she carried a big belly. In these few months, a brand new situation had appeared in Jianchuan's education industry. A few old educational institutions, probably in order to find a chance of survival, actually boldly invested money and began to optimize the industrial structure. Soon, they won a good reputation in the education world. This was a huge impact on Yeshang Group. The Song family's financial industry abroad was not optimistic. They might not be able to last for the 5 years that Xing Xiao had predicted. Therefore, the domestic business was very important to the Song family. It was already late autumn, and Jianchuan loved to rain. Looking out from the towering office, all he could see was mist. Xing Xiao was wearing a blue suit and a brown coat. He sat in the reception area with Shen Jianchuan and was predicting what the Song family would do next in order to counterattack. Not long ago, in the International Educational Institution Selection Competition, Yeshang Group was directly thrown out of the top 10 with a 13% complaint rate. I have also collected some recent data about the education industry. According to the survey, Yeshan Group was indeed very strong at the beginning, but the disadvantages are also very obvious. According to the normal competitive relationship, Yeshan Group will soon no longer be competitive. Dad, the Song family must know what we know better. Song Buji will definitely change next. Xing Xiao stacked the documents together and looked at Shen Jianchuan seriously. We must stabilize the current situation as much as possible. Most importantly, we can't let the Song family know that we have anything to do with this. Don't worry about that. Shen Jianchuan took off the glasses on the bridge of his nose and rubbed the space between his eyebrows. Every time I have something to convey, I will entrust a lawyer to convey it on my behalf. I haven't met them before, so the Song family won't be able to notice it for a while. It's been 3 months. I also want to see if the Song family has really improved after being quiet. With that, Xing Xiao stood up from the sofa and said to Shen Jianchuan, I'll go home with you. It's only 5:00 now. Shen Jianchuan looked at his watch in confusion. Qi-er's emotions are the most unstable, Xing Xiao answered naturally. Shen Jianchuan immediately understood. Only when it came to that little one would his son-in-law not ask about anything. He had to satisfy her first. Don't give in to her too much. There has to be a limit to everything. Xing Xiao did not say anything. He had never complained about the little one in front of Shen Jianchuan. His tolerance for others was very low, but when it came to Muqiqi, his tolerance seemed to be endless. As for why Muqiqi's emotions were unstable, it was because she had recently joined a group of mothers. There were many pregnant women or mothers in the group who were always sharing all kinds of negative things. After Muqiqi saw them, she became much more sensitive than usual. If Xing Xiao was by her side, she wouldn't have so many feelings. Things like giving birth to a child was difficult, mother-in-law and husband couldn't protect themselves, giving birth to a child was painful, not allowing a cesarean section, and no one cared about the pregnant woman after the child was born, and so on. In the end, Xing Xiao left the group for her. Don't read too many useless things. You don't have these problems. I'm just pitiful for them. Sigh. Muqiqi felt uncomfortable. Many people say that if two people are together for a long time, they will turn love into family. When the child is born, there's a high chance that it will turn into an enemy. What about love for each other? Xing Xiao hugged her with a teasing smile on his lips. Love is the most important thing to maintain a family. Xiao, anyway, I won't turn love into family in this life. Without love, how can I be called a partner? After saying that, Muqiqi lowered her head again and looked at her morning book. Xing Xiao had been listening to her nagging like this recently. Calluses were about to form in his ears. However, after hearing what she said just now, he was instantly satisfied. I know I've been a little frustrated recently because Shanshan's due date is almost here. I'm afraid. What are you afraid of? I'm afraid of pain. Muqiqi hugged Xing Xiao's hand with a pitiful expression. The technology for painless childbirth is very mature now. Don't be afraid. Xing Xiao comforted her. Then when the time comes, you have to accompany me to the delivery room. As the two of them were talking, Muqiqi suddenly hugged her stomach as if her body had been frozen. Xing Xiao propped himself up, but she immediately grabbed Xing Xiao's palm and placed it on her bulging abdomen. The baby is moving. Xing Xiao and Tang Yan had discussed Muqiqi's fluctuating emotions. In the end, they agreed that women in the middle and late stages of pregnancy were almost like this. However, when she was in the forensics laboratory, she was as calm as usual. I really want her to come out earlier. That way, I can know if she's a boy or a girl, and if she looks like you or me. Xing Xiao chatted with her like this every day. After coaxing her to sleep, he went to the study to continue working. Actually, this thing was very obedient most of the time, except that sometimes, it would let its imagination run wild. The rain in late autumn did not fall much, but the cold wind was bone-chilling. And on this night, a murder case and a traffic accident happened in Jianchuan. Because the accident happened in the jurisdiction of the branch office, Tang Yen had no choice but to leave home in the middle of the night. The deceased's surname was Lu, and he was a key figure in the rise of the old education industry in Jianchuan. Chapter 942. In the drizzle, Tang Yen was wearing a windbreaker. He squatted beside the corpse lying on the ground and carefully observed it. This person with the surname Lu had indeed died before the car accident. Captain Tang, Professor Tang, is hospitalized. No one from the forensics team can come over now. Old Sheng held a camera and said to Tang Yen, "Do you want junior sister Mu to come over and take a look?" Tang Yen stood up and glared at him. "Do you know that she's almost 8 months pregnant now? Then what should we do? There's only a mother with dementia at home. Without a nurse, how can he leave?" Old Sheng sighed. "Why is our branch office so poor? Cut the crap. I'll go report the situation to the chief and send more people. You continue to investigate the scene." Tang Yen took out his phone and dialed a familiar number. Tang Yen stood in the rain. Although someone had given him an umbrella, he needed to remain calm at all times. If not, his heart would be at home. Feng Shanshan was about to give birth. He had once promised Feng Shanshan that he would be by her side when she gave birth. In addition, there was no one else at home. If anything happened to Feng Shanshan, he would never forgive himself for the rest of his life. Therefore, he called Mu Chichi first. In the middle of the night, the people who answered the phone were naturally men, so Xing Zhao's voice was heard. "What's the matter?" "There's no one at home. Can you bring Shanshan to the banyan courtyard to rest? I'll get fifth aunt to pick her up." Xing Zhao answered very straightforwardly. After saying that, Xing Zhao was about to hang up the phone, but Tang Yen stopped him. "Do you know the middle-aged man with the surname Lu? He's a famous person in the education world." "I do." "Why?" Xing Zhao lowered his voice and asked. "He's dead. He was killed. We don't know the cause of death yet. If you know anything, you can tell me." How smart was Tang Yen? What did Yeshang Group do? In the education industry, in the past 3 months, the entire Jianchuan had witnessed the competition in the education industry. The former well-known education brand had recently made industrial adjustments, which had a huge impact on Yeshang Group. 3 months later, the middle-aged man surnamed Lu died here. It was inevitable that people would think about it. After all, they were not curious at all that the Song family would do such a thing. "What I know is what you said just now," Xing Zhao answered calmly because he had been lowering his voice. "I understand. Thank you, Chief Sheng." With that, the two of them hung up. Then, Xing Zhao took his phone and went out. Not only did he inform fifth aunt, but he also called Shen Jianchuan. "Dad, I got the latest news. Elder Lu has gone." After Shen Jianchuan heard the news, he sat up from the bed. "When did this happen?" "Not long ago. I'll go to the Lu family to understand the situation. We'll talk in detail tomorrow." Xing Zhao put down his phone and went to the living room. 20 minutes later, fifth aunt supported the pot-bellied Feng Shanshan into the living room of the banyan courtyard. "Fifth aunt, clean up the guest room. I might have to trouble you to stay here tonight." Xing Zhao stood by the handrail on the second floor and ordered. "All right, Mr. Sheng. Don't worry." Feng Shanshan knew that it was Tang Yan's idea to pick her up, so she did not refuse at all because she could not force herself now. She was due to give birth in a few days, and Tang Yen was not at home now. If anything happened to her, no one could call for help. "Miss Feng, this way please." Fifth aunt happily led her to the guest room. "Young madam is upstairs. She's sleeping soundly. You should rest early too. If you have abdominal pain, call me immediately. I'll sleep next to you." "Fifth aunt, you can sleep on the bed with me." Feng Shanshan felt a little apologetic. After all, fifth aunt was already so old. It's fine. I'm healthy. After fifth aunt said that, she carried the quilt to the imperial concubine's couch. Feng Shanshan watched as fifth aunt lay down and closed her eyes. However, she could not calm down and rest. She kept feeling that something had happened. She did not know how Tang Yen was doing at the murder scene. The bureau chief called a forensic doctor over for Tang Yen. Although it was already an hour later and the rain was getting heavier, in order to maintain the first scene, the people from the branch office set up a canopy on the spot. The entire road was temporarily sealed off. The female forensic doctor squatted in front of the corpse and observed it for a while. Finally, she told Tang Yen, it was indeed not a car accident. I already have some clues, but I can't come to a conclusion yet. I need to conduct an autopsy. So, after taking photos, send the corpse back to the laboratory. Thank you. Tang Yen did not even know what the other party's name was. He could only thank her briefly and continue investigating the traffic accident. If we want to figure out how this Lu died, we have to figure out his relationship with the driver. Now that the driver died on the spot, Old Sheng, give me a copy of the driver's information as soon as possible. Xiao Long, go and get the surveillance footage at the intersection to determine the cause of the car accident and whether it was an accident or man-made. Do these basic tasks for me. And that night, he knew that he basically did not need to rest. This was because this person with the surname Lu had been really famous recently. His sudden death would definitely cause rumors to fly everywhere again. If it was really done by their opponent, then the Song family was too brazen. From the incident to the next morning, the process of the car accident, including the identity of the driver, was all figured out. Captain Tang, this driver's name is Li Dong. He's a delivery driver. He's usually responsible for delivering frozen seafood and other ingredients to the mall. From the surveillance footage, the driver suddenly turned and accelerated. That's why he collided with him, and that's why Lu's body was thrown out of the car. From the surveillance footage, his expression was calm and there wasn't a trace of panic. He probably didn't know that a body had been placed in his car. Who would swagger around and drive a van with a body in it, planning to deliver goods to someone else? Old Sheng told Tang Yen the information he had collected. The other driver of the car stepped on the accelerator by mistake when he turned the corner, causing him to accelerate. After a comprehensive analysis, the traffic accident was an accident. The driver has nothing to do with the education tycoon surnamed Lu. After Tang Yen heard this, he crossed his arms and said to Old Sheng, continue to the traffic control department and get the footage of the van. See when the body was placed in it. Okay. In that case, the traffic accident can be handed over to the traffic police to close the case. Xiao Long was quite happy. At least it was not related to the murder case, so he would have to do less useless work. I'll go get the autopsy report. Tang Yen looked at his watch and was about to go to the autopsy room when he was stopped by Xiao Long. Junior sister Shanshan should be giving birth, right? Captain Tang, shouldn't you go back and take a look? Chapter 943. Then, the forensic doctor gave him an answer. This middle-aged man was strangled to death. Look at his neck. The groove is obvious, level, uniform, and there is no sign of emptying. The edge of the groove is neat, and the width is similar to that of a belt. Moreover, there are dandruff-like substances on his skin. Combined with the characteristics of his face and the internal bleeding in his ears, this is a very typical death caused by mechanical asphyxia. So, you might have a lot of work to do next. Tang Yen could only shrug helplessly when he received the autopsy report. It was 7:00 in the morning. Mu Qiqi did not see her man since she woke up. Instead, she saw Feng Shanshan downstairs, who was eating breakfast. She was shocked. Then, she understood why Feng Shanshan was here. Tang Yen went out to the field. He hasn't come back yet. Feng Shanshan pursed her lips and took a sip of milk. I wonder if he can be by my side when I give birth. He has always been a trustworthy person. He definitely won't go back on his word. Don't worry. After saying that, Mu Chichi sat down at the dining table with her belly propped up. However, she felt very uneasy not seeing Xing Xiao. Looking for your big CEO? He's out. Feng Shanshan saw her uneasiness and quickly answered, you really can't leave him at all. None of your business. Mu Chichi snorted. Then, she patted her belly and said, why do I feel that I'm 8 months older than you, who are almost 10 months old? I heard from the doctor that it's not easy to give birth when the child is too big. Mu Chichi punched her. You're trying to scare me. Feng Shanshan immediately laughed. However, she only laughed a few times before she suddenly felt a wave of pain. Mu Chichi looked at her rubbing her belly and immediately rolled her eyes. Stop pretending. Mu Chichi did not believe in her drama. I'm really in pain. Feng Shanshan leaned back in pain. It hurts so much. When fifth aunt heard her shout, she immediately rushed out of the kitchen. Mama Xing followed behind her. When she saw Feng Shanshan's appearance, she immediately said, send her to the hospital. She's about to give birth. Mu Chichi immediately felt nervous. It was as if it was her turn to give birth. Soon, the ambulance arrived at the Banyan courtyard. Fifth aunt and Mama Xing followed. Mu Chichi also wanted to go, but neither of them allowed it. Just stay at home and wait for the news. It's not convenient for us to take care of you with your big belly. Mu Chichi struggled for a moment and finally nodded. All right, I'll call Captain Tang. He promised Shanshan that he would be by her side when she gives birth. Okay, don't worry. With that, Mama Xing and fifth aunt followed her out. Mu Chichi held her phone and searched for Tang Yan's number. However, the call was always busy. He probably couldn't get away from it. If you don't answer the phone, you'll miss your son's birth. Mu Chichi had no choice but to call Xing Xiao. Xiao, Shanshan has gone to the hospital. She's probably about to give birth, but I can't get through to Captain Tang. Can you help me inform him? I'm having a morning meeting, Xing Xiao answered. All right then. With that, Mu Chichi hung up the phone. Xing Xiao took a deep breath and called Su Che in. He instructed him. Go to the branch office and look for Tang Yan. His son is about to be born. Su Che pointed at his own face in disbelief. Did he need to inform him about such a thing? After thinking for a while, Su Che turned around and immediately went to the parking lot to find his motorcycle. He then drove toward the Jianchuan branch office. In the hospital, Feng Shanshan was immediately sent to the delivery room to be examined by the doctor. However, the doctor only took a glance and said, the amniotic fluid has broken. Family members, don't come in. Fifth aunt and Mama Xing were not Feng Shanshan's family, so other than Tang Yan, they did not know who else to inform. Feng Shanshan endured the pain brought about by the contractions. There was only one thought in her mind. That man had promised her that he would be by her side when she gave birth. However, he probably couldn't get away from her now. The nurse was in the delivery room making all kinds of preparations. Seeing Feng Shanshan's uneasy expression, she asked her, is the husband here? Should I let him in? Feng Shanshan shook her head. He can't come. He's a criminal police officer. He took a mission last night. I see. Then you don't have to feel uneasy. The police are like this. Although they sometimes make us feel wronged, it's not that he doesn't love this family, right? The nurse comforted her. I'm also a police wife. I've given birth to 3 children, and my husband is catching criminals. However, this doesn't affect our relationship because I know that he has always been worried about me. You're the same. He must be worried about you too. So, be strong. It's not a big deal. We'll help you. With the nurse's comfort, Feng Shanshan calmed down a little. Are you feeling better? Feng Shanshan nodded. All mothers are great. you're no exception. Tang Yen had just come out of the Lu family's home. The entire Lu family was in a state of grief, so the deceased son, Lu Zichen, cooperated with the police to make a statement. In short, the Lu family doesn't know why her husband and father are gone. Xiaolong looked at the statement helplessly. I'll go to the Lu family's education company again, Tang Yen said. However, when he remembered that Feng Shanshan was still in the Xing family's home, he took the opportunity to call Feng Shanshan. However, Feng Shanshan's phone was in the guest room of the Xing family, so no one answered. Originally, he wanted to call again at another time, but Su Che, who was riding his motorcycle, suddenly stopped in front of him and said, "Your wife is in the hospital." When Tang Yen heard these words, he turned around and left. Captain Tang? Captain Tang? Xiaolong quickly chased after him. What's wrong? You and old Xing go to the Lu Corporation's company. I'll go to the hospital. After Tang Yen said that, he opened the car door. Xiaolong was stunned for a moment before he understood. This person is going to be a father, right? A single dog is really envious. After Tang Yen drove at full speed, he thought about his promise to Feng Shanshan. He said that he would be there when she gave birth, but now, he had no idea that his wife had been sent to the hospital. He blamed himself, and his emotions were very complicated. Heartache, guilt, and anticipation came together, making him panic and at a loss for what to do. Soon, he saw Mama Sheng and fifth aunt at the entrance of the hospital. He quickened his pace and rushed up to them. Auntie, where is Shanshan? You're finally here. Mama Sheng looked at Tang Yen and said, she's in the delivery room. She's been in there for a while. I don't know what's going on now. Go and ask the doctor if they're allowed to visit. Chapter 944. The doctor glanced at him and refused without thinking. No, because it's not a separate delivery room, so the family should try to wait outside. Doctor, just one side. Doctor, just one side. I'm a police officer. I didn't go home last night. My wife is about to give birth in the morning and someone else called me. I'm still on duty, but I promised her that I'll be by her side when she gives birth. If I can't do that, I want to let her know that I'm here, okay? This was the most sincere request from a man, a husband, and a police officer. After the doctor heard this, he turned around and asked his assistant, "Can you arrange it?" After all, no one can reject such a husband. I'll go ask. The nurse immediately entered the delivery room. A moment later, the nurse walked out again. You can go in, but you only have 2 minutes. Is that okay? Enough. Tang Yen nodded immediately. Then I'll take you to disinfect and put on sterile clothes. The nurse immediately extended her hand to Tang Yen. This way, please. Soon, Tang Yen changed into sterile clothes and put on a mask. He was only waiting for the nurse to inform him. Finally, he entered the automatic door with an uneasy heart. Behind the door, Feng Shanshan was lying on the bed. Because of the pain, she was already sweating. Tang Yen immediately walked over and lay down in front of her. I'm here. Before Feng Shanshan could see the man's face clearly, she heard the 2 words. I'm here. The man's familiar body temperature and scent gradually made Feng Shanshan feel real. She didn't expect him to really come. Be strong. It's okay. Trust the doctor and nurse. I'll wait for you outside. It wasn't until Tang Yen straightened up that Feng Shanshan saw the man's face clearly. His face was filled with anxiety. He was also very nervous. Go out. There are other pregnant women here. I'm fine. Feng Shanshan was satisfied and regained her composure. Because this was not a separate delivery room, they had to care about others. Tang Yen nodded and leaned over to kiss her forehead again. Even if the baby is born, the most important thing in my heart will always be you. After saying that, Tang Yen let go of her hand and turned to leave the delivery room. Everything was worth it. Even if she had to endure the pain of childbirth, even if she had to endure all the hardships, with Tang Yan's words just now, she felt that everything was worth it. Your husband has already done better than most husbands, the doctor said in her ear. Happy pregnant woman, good luck. Outside the door, Tang Yan had already taken off his sterile clothes and stood with Mama Sheng and the others. Other than thanking them, he had nothing else to say. You're Jinchuan's godson-in-law, which means you're my godson-in-law. It doesn't matter if it's the Shen family or the Xing family. We also know your situation. You don't have any other relatives at home. You just need to let us take care of her, Mama Sheng said to Tang Yan very gently. During this time, Tang Yan's phone rang non-stop. Go and pick it up. Tang Yan's heart was full of Feng Shanshan, so he was a little annoyed when he received a call from the police station. Even when his wife was giving birth, he couldn't have peace. Even so, he still picked up the phone. On the other end of the phone, Old Xing reported to him. Captain Tang, I got the surveillance footage from the traffic control department. I know when Lu Zhao's body was moved into the van. Go back to the station first. We'll talk when I come back, Tang Yan replied. Okay. Old Xing hung up. Tang Yan put down his phone. However, a few seconds later, someone else called. Tang Yan had no choice but to hang up and call the chief directly. Chief, I'm asking for leave. The murder case is now critical. Why are you asking for leave? You're not allowed to sleep. The chief firmly rejected Tang Yan's request on the other end of the phone. My wife is giving birth. I don't have any relatives by my side. Tang Yan's voice was a little choked. Please take charge of the situation for the time being. The chief was stunned for a few seconds before he calmed down. Stay in the hospital and accompany your wife. I'll handle this. Thank you, Chief. In the banyan courtyard, Mu Qiqi paced back and forth in the living room anxiously. She didn't know if Feng Shanshan had successfully given birth or if Tang Yan had gone to the hospital. She wanted to call Mama Sheng, but she didn't want others to be distracted at this critical juncture. However, when it was almost noon, Xing Xiao returned home from Zhongteng, bringing with him a cold wind. Mu Qiqi quickly went over. Why are you back? They're all in the hospital. You need to take care of them too. Xing Xiao put down his coat and changed into black slippers. Xiao Xiao, did Captain Tang go to the hospital? Mu Qiqi chased after him and asked. He's there, so it's not your turn to worry. Xing Xiao helped her sit down on the sofa. That's good. Mu Qiqi finally heaved a sigh of relief. I really can't imagine how painful it will be to give birth. Xing Xiao turned to look at her and then at her bulging abdomen. It had been 8 months. There were still 2 more months. He should be the one who was nervous. It's not as exaggerated as you think. Don't scare yourself. I don't believe that you won't be nervous when the time comes. Mu Qiqi pierced through the man's calmness and hammered his chest again. After lunch, Mu Qiqi calmed down. Even though she was very anxious, she couldn't resist the sudden sleepiness. She could only go back to her room and lie down. She instructed Xing Xiao to inform her immediately if there was any news of Feng Shanshan. A moment later, Shen Jianchuan arrived at the Shen family's home. The father-in-law and son-in-law went to the study. I went to the Lu family to find out about the situation. Lu Zhao disappeared after work that night. No one knows where he went. I'm afraid we'll have to wait for the police to investigate. Who will be in charge of the Lu family in the future? Xing Xiao sat on the chair and continued to ask. His son, Lu Zichen. Shen Jianchuan frowned and answered, this kid is very capable. He doesn't lose to his father at all. However, what I'm afraid of is that if this matter has something to do with the Song family, then Lu Zichen might become the Song family's next target. If this matter really has something to do with the Song family, I'll go see him, Xing Xiao said seriously as he looked at his father-in-law. If this was caused by the Song family, then he was also responsible for Lu Zhao's death. Eighth brother, this has nothing to do with you, that's settled then. Shen Jianchuan nodded and didn't say anything else. After all, this wasn't what he wanted to see. If this was really the Song family's doing, then he had to make the Song family pay with their blood. At 12:30 p.m. With a loud cry, Feng Shanshan and Tang Yan's child was finally born. As Song Qiaozhi had expected, it was a little boy. The child was quickly carried out by the nurse. Mama Sheng and fifth aunt quickly went up to him. However, Tang Yan kept poking his head into the delivery room because he was most concerned about Feng Shanshan's condition. Chapter 945. Tang Yan nodded, but he still did not look at the child. When Feng Shanshan was pushed out, he quickly went forward. Are you all right? It's been hard on you. Feng Shanshan was too tired. Because it was her first child, it took her a few hours to give birth to this thing. She was surprised and comforted to see Tang Yan. You're a father now. I won't give birth in the future. I don't need any excitement. I just need a child. I don't want to torture you, Tang Yan said as he touched Feng Shanshan's forehead. I'm fine. I'm really fine. Soon, Feng Shanshan was pushed into the ward, and the child was placed next to her. Feng Shanshan tilted her head to look at the soft little thing and was very surprised. It was still in her stomach yesterday, but it had already come out today. He had finally come to this world. This was her and Tang Yan's child. Xiao Tang hugged the child and let him familiarize himself with daddy's scent. Mama Sheng looked at the child and said happily, as if she really had a grandson. I don't know how. Tang Yan was afraid that he would hurt the child if he was too strong. I'll teach you. Feng Shanshan lay on the bed and watched Tang Yan being tortured by Mama Sheng and Mama Sheng. She felt that the scene was very funny, but at the same time, it was also very warm. However, soon, the chief called again. It's time to return. Feng Shanshan saw him holding his phone and putting it down again. She knew that he was still on a mission, so she said to him, you can go. There are doctors and nurses here. Fifth aunt and auntie are also here. Are you really fine? The earlier you solve the case, the earlier you can go home and hug your son. Feng Shanshan was not pretentious at all. When they first got together, she knew what kind of man she had followed. Then have a good rest. Remember to call me if there's anything. With that, Tang Yan handed his son to fifth aunt and bowed to Mama Sheng and fifth aunt. Sorry to trouble you. Go. Mama Sheng waved her hand. When you come back, remember to give your child a nice name. 3:00 in the afternoon, at the Song family. Seeing Lu Zhao's death being broadcasted on the news, Song Jiang watched the television while celebrating with his friends. I want to see who else wants to block the Song family's path to wealth. Old Song, don't forget that he still has a son, Song Jiang's friend reminded him. This person was the Uncle Rong that Song Buji had mentioned. He was ruthless and had no bottom line. Therefore, compared to his biological father, Song Buji was more afraid of Uncle Rong. What's wrong with a son? With you by my side, what's there to be afraid of? Song Jiang didn't think much of it. I have you. I won't even be afraid of Sheng Shao. You just have to trust me. The man with the surname Rong boasted, as long as it's something that you want to achieve, I will help you achieve it. What about Sheng Shao? Give me some time. Song Buji was outside the door. When he heard the conversation between the two old men, he did not enter the living room because he felt that he was getting more and more crazy. At the same time, Mu Qiqi was woken up by Sheng Shao. Their son had been born. Mu Qiqi was very excited to hear that. Then can I go to the hospital to see them tonight? Mu Qiqi's face was full of anticipation. Thinking about it, her best friend had become a mother, and she would be the next. Now, she had a stomach full of questions waiting to ask Feng Shanshan. However, Xing Xiao directly rejected her request. No. Why? Feng Shanshan just gave birth and needs to rest. If you go and chatter, how will others rest? Mu Qiqi was very troubled by this. After she got pregnant, she did talk a lot, but she did not expect this man to dislike her to this extent. I just want to get some encouragement to comfort myself. When I give birth, I don't have to be afraid. Your due date is still more than 2 months away. You can ask at any time. Did something happen outside again? Mu Qiqi suddenly asked Xing Xiao sensitively. A competitor of Yeshang Group died in a van last night. Xing Xiao did not hide anything from her and told her the truth. After Mu Qiqi heard this, she calmed down. I'm not going, but are you sure it's the Song family's doing? We need Tang Yen to give us an answer. I'll go out in a while. When Dad comes back, you should sleep early. With that, Xing Xiao got up from the bed. Mu Qiqi suddenly grabbed his arm and asked, how did that person die? Was it the same as by Sunny's case? He was strangled to death. It was simple and crude, without so much elaborate planning. This meant that the Song family was more direct and disregarded life even more. Okay, go and come back early, but you must bring Su Che with you, Mu Qiqi instructed. She could tell the situation clearly. She could call Feng Shanshan, but she did not have to go out. Don't think too much. There's no conclusion yet. Xing Xiao saw her ugly expression and reached out to rub her forehead. Go and do your work. Don't worry about me. Mu Qiqi let go of Xing Xiao's arm and took out her phone. Since she could not go out, she could only call Feng Shanshan. A pregnant woman and a pregnant woman began to exchange all kinds of experiences on the phone. When Xing Xiao saw this, he went out with ease. He and Shen Jianchuan were going to the Lu family. The Lu family was in a state of grief. Lu Zhao's wife was still bedridden. The person who came out to welcome the two of them was Lu Zhao's son, Lu Zichen. Lu Zichen had always known that there was someone supporting him, but when he saw Xing Xiao, he was still a little surprised. I'm sorry about your father's death. What does this have to do with CEO Xing? When the Lu family was in debt and unable to operate, it was you who helped us from behind. That's why the Lu family is where it is today. If you hadn't helped us at that time, my mother and wife would have died of illness long ago. At that time, my mother and wife were waiting for life-saving money. Lu Zichen did not resent Xing Xiao at all. My father told me that our opponent this time is very fierce, but he still made this decision to protect our family. So, CEO Sheng, you don't have to feel guilty. This is my father's choice, and it's also the path I will defend, Lu Zichen said firmly and seriously. Although my father is no longer here, his spirit will always remain in my heart. Don't worry, I won't go to extremes. I believe that the police will give us an answer. Moreover, I will never give up on fighting against Yeshang Group. That kind of educational institution that disregards human life should not exist in this world. Xing Xiao felt that it was useless to say anything else at this moment. There were only a few words that were the most powerful. I will give your father justice. Chapter 946. After coming out of the Lu family, Xing Xiao remained silent. When Shen Jianchuan saw this, he patted his shoulder and said, "Eighth brother, you're not a god. There's no need for you to bear such a heavy burden." No, I'm just thinking about something. This time, the Song family's way of doing things is very different from before. I suspect that Song Jiang has recruited some extreme helpers, Xing Xiao answered Shen Jianchuan seriously after getting into the car. It's only been quiet for 3 months. If Song Jiang really uses an even more extreme method to make a comeback, I wonder how many people will suffer. The Shen family doesn't matter, but I'm afraid that a good person like Lu Zhao will be implicated. Therefore, Shen Jianchuan frowned deeply and looked at Xing Xiao. Eighth brother, we have to be heavy-handed. Xing Xiao nodded slightly. It seemed that using time to deal with the Song family was not going to work. I'll see the results of Tang Yan's case first. The two of them left the Lu family and returned home. Xing Xiao did not expect Mu Qiqi to still be waiting at home. Why aren't you sleeping yet? Are you going to meet the family of the deceased? Mu Qiqi sat on the bed and asked Xing Xiao. Xing Xiao stopped taking off his trench coat. After a second, he nodded. It's not a good thing to be too smart. You've already made it so clear in the afternoon. If I still can't tell, I'll have been your woman for so long. Do you have any leads on the murderer? Mu Qiqi lifted the blanket and wanted to get out of bed, but Xing Xiao stopped her. It's cold down there. My body is mine. I know if it's cold or not. Xing Xiao did not stop her. He sat down on the sofa and replied, waiting for news from Tang Yan. Then hurry up and take a shower. Your body is cold. I don't even want to hug you. Mu Qiqi stood in the distance in disgust. Xing Xiao got up and walked to the bathroom. Mu Qiqi took the opportunity to call Tang Yan. On the phone, Tang Yan sounded very tired. He had not rested since last night. It was because the higher-ups were in a hurry to solve the case. Captain Tang, what's the situation now? When Tang Yan heard Mu Qiqi's voice, he thought that he had heard wrongly. He took out his phone and looked at the number again. After confirming that it was Mu Qiqi's, he said, other than knowing that the body was dumped from a small alley, there is no other progress. The alley leads to rows of demolished houses, and there are no surveillance cameras along the way. The person who dumped the body was a man in his 40s, wearing a mask and a hat. Other than that, there is no other information. Where's the corpse? The cause of death was asphyxiation. There were no other injuries on the body. The tool used was a belt, but we've already checked it. The murderer must have grabbed such a tool as an aid because it contained a lot of bacteria and not sweat. We have to find out. Mu Qiqi was a little anxious. Can I see the body? Your family members will agree to it? Mu Qiqi was about to answer when Xing Xiao snatched her phone away. However, Xing Xiao answered Tang Yan directly, I don't agree. Xing Xiao. You believe in my professionalism. I want to help you. No, I want to help myself. I want to help the Shen family. Xing Xiao looked down at her and finally answered Tang Yan, I'll send her to the branch office in half an hour. Then, he returned the phone to Mu Qiqi. You can always get yourself involved in all kinds of dangerous situations. What if I really help Captain Tang? Xing Xiao took the opportunity to hold Mu Qiqi's neck and snorted. I'll call you Daddy. It's a deal. A few minutes later, the two of them packed up and went downstairs. For safety reasons, Xing Xiao did not let Su Che get off work. He even had to be their driver. Mu Qiqi saw Su Che yawning in the rearview mirror. She tugged at Xing Xiao's arm. Xiao Xiao, have you been enslaving Su Che for too long every day? Xing Xiao glanced at the back of Su Che's head and said lightly, I'll give you a day off tomorrow. Have a good rest. When Su Che heard that he was taking a day off, he immediately became energetic. Mu Qiqi couldn't help but laugh when she saw that. She asked, what do you do during the holidays? Su Che thought about it. Ever since he started following Xing Xiao, he rarely had free time. Even in the middle of the night, he was called by Xing Xiao to be his driver. A blind date. My uncle arranged a blind date for me. Mu Qiqi smiled even more happily and poked Xing Xiao's chest. You should at least care about your subordinate's physical and mental harmony. Xing Xiao frowned. Did he need it? Soon, the three of them arrived at the branch office. At that time, old Sheng was waiting at the door. When he saw Mu Qiqi, he immediately beamed. You're finally here. Where's the professor? Mu Qiqi followed old Sheng and walked quickly to the autopsy room. The professor is performing gallstone surgery. The forensics department has lost its backbone. The chief even transferred a female forensic doctor over from outside, but I always feel that her work is not as meticulous as yours. Where's Captain Tang? Mu Chichi continued to ask. He's in a meeting. Thinking about it, he's really miserable. He just became a father today, and he can't stay at home with his wife and child. He still has to waste his time here. I feel so wronged, old Sheng explained as he opened the door for her. Are you okay? I'm strong. Mu Chichi made a gesture to show off her muscles. Then, she walked to the dissection table. Old Sheng, you go out first. It's fine as long as you're not afraid. Old Sheng was a big man, but even he felt creeped out by staying in such a place. Hurry up and go out. Mu Chichi was already chasing him away. Old Sheng walked out of the autopsy room and saw Xing Xiao and Su Che sitting in the lounge. He naturally respected these two people very much. He quickly greeted them and went to the meeting room. Chi-Chi is here? Tang Yen asked as he flipped through the information. Yes, she chased me out the moment she arrived. Old Sheng shrugged. Tang Yen lowered his head again and muttered, I hope she can give me something different and open up my mind. She definitely can. I've never seen anyone more meticulous than little junior sister. In terms of professionalism, everyone recognized Mu Chichi. Although she was only a student and had even dropped out of school, the experience she had accumulated over the past year had also allowed people to see her strengths. Of course, she could not find another flower in the autopsy, but she could see a lot of things that others could not. Well, CEO Sheng is outside. Captain Tang, do you want to go and greet him? Tang Yen put down the information in his hand and walked to the lounge. When he saw Xing Xiao sitting on the sofa, he asked, how much does CEO Sheng know about the Liu family? It's a veteran education company that has risen in the past 3 months. I supported it, Xing Xiao answered without hesitation. To fight against Yashang Group. Chapter 947. What right do you have to educate me? I'm a father today. There was a hint of pride in Tang Yan's expression. Xing Xiao just couldn't surpass him in this regard. He had no choice. Solve the case as soon as possible. Don't always drag my out to help. The two men were sitting in the lounge chatting when old Sheng suddenly called out to Tang Yen. Captain Tang, Chi-Chi found something. When Tang Yen heard that, he immediately got up from the sofa. That's why I dragged her here. After saying that, Tang Yen quickly walked toward the autopsy room. What did you find? Mu Chichi took off the button on Lu Zhao's shirt and handed it to Tang Yen. Take a closer look. Tang Yen took a magnifying glass and immediately found that there were many scratches on the blue button. This is the second button on Lu Zhao's suit. In other words, it's about his abdomen. Because Lu Zhao has a beer belly, the scratches on this button are very deep, while the scratches on the other buttons are very shallow. I think the forensic doctor probably thought that these scratches were the lines on the button. But Captain Tang, turn it over and take a look. Tang Yen flipped the button and found that there was some powder around the black thread. What is this? This isn't an ordinary latex paint. It's a new type of environmentally friendly decoration material, diatomaceous mud, Mu Chichi explained as she supported herself on the autopsy table. This kind of paint originally came from diatomaceous earth. It's deposited from a type of diatomaceous algae in the ocean. It's pure, natural, and pollution-free. Now, whether it's home decoration or work equipment, it's widely used. Of course, this kind of thing also has a characteristic, and that is that it's expensive. Ordinary families probably don't know much about this kind of material, or they can't afford to use it. Diatomaceous mud. Tang Yen muttered. In addition, I carefully tested the composition of Lu Zhao's clothes and found traces of diatomaceous mud, but only a small amount. Mu Chichi handed the clothes to Tang Yen and said, so, according to my analysis, Lu Zhao was pressed against a wall decorated with diatomaceous mud and strangled from behind. In other words, there must be traces of friction between the button and the wall on that wall. After listening to Mu Qiqi's analysis, Tang Yan immediately thought of the information they already had. If you enter the alley, it's a demolished house that has already been vacated. Old Sheng immediately informed the entire team to check the entire demolition house area at the back of the alley. Once you find a wall decorated with diatom mud, immediately mark it, because that might be the first scene. When Old Sheng heard that, he was instantly very excited. As expected, junior sister Qiqi, I'll give you a thumbs up. Tang Yan heaved a sigh of relief. I feel like we'll get a lot of rewards if we go there. Qiqi, you've done something good again. Let's talk about it after we find it. I'm just curious why someone of Lu Zhao's status would go to such a place. Mu Qiqi raised her doubts. However, I believe that once we find the first scene, many mysteries will be easily solved. Go back and rest. Tang Yan patted her shoulder. Mu Qiqi nodded, took off her gloves and put them by the sink. I'll go see Shanshan later. I've let them down. I believe Shanshan won't blame you. After saying that, Mu Qiqi walked out of the autopsy room and returned to Xing Zhao's side. She stuck out her belly and whispered into his ear, I'll wait for you to call me daddy. Xing Zhao looked at the little one's expression and knew that she had gained something. Therefore, he did not care about the occasion and seductively whispered 2 words into the little one's ear, Daddy. Mu Qiqi's face instantly turned red. Her ears were red and perky, and it was so numb that it gave people goosebumps. Are you satisfied? Mu Qiqi was afraid that others would see her blush, so she quickly grabbed Xing Zhao's hand and said, Let's go. Send me to the hospital. Since she was already out, she could take the opportunity to see the pregnant woman. Moreover, Mama Sheng and fifth aunt were in the hospital now, but her friend was hers. She felt very sorry. Xing Zhao hugged her and looked at the little one with a gentle smile. It seemed that he really could not underestimate this little one's ability. Soon, the police were dispatched. Tang Yan personally led the team and went to the pitch-black demolition house at 10:00 in the night. Without any results, no one could rest that night. Mu Qiqi also arrived at the hospital with Xing Zhao accompanying her. In the ward, Feng Shanshan was feeding the baby, so Xing Zhao was waiting outside the door. Feng Shanshan was a little surprised to see Mu Qiqi. What time is it? Aren't you sleeping? I've already unloaded the goods. It's still early for you. You're not obedient. I went to the forensics laboratory, so I came to see you. Mu Qiqi leaned over and saw the babbling little baby in her arms. She was instantly confused by how cute he was. Isn't he too cute? Has he been named? Tang Yan hasn't had the time to name him. At this point, Feng Shanshan could not hide her disappointment. But after a moment, she adjusted herself. It's okay. He should be resting tomorrow, right? He will definitely be able to rest tomorrow. Mu Qiqi pinched the little baby's face and did not dare to be too harsh. I really envy you. You've already passed this hurdle. I still have to wait for 2 more months. It's not as scary as you think. By the way, call Auntie and fifth aunt back. There are doctors and nurses here. Tang Yan's aunt is also here. Okay, fifth aunt will come and help tomorrow. After Mu Qiqi said that, she pinched the little fatty's face again. He's really too obedient. Yours will be coming soon. You don't have to envy me. Mu Qiqi looked down at her abdomen and smiled. Then have a good rest tonight. It's almost time for me to leave. Let's go. A woman who had given birth looked different. It was as if she had transformed in an instant. Mu Qiqi looked at Feng Shanshan and thought of herself in the near future. Perhaps, it would be the same. Xing Zhao was still waiting at the door. Mu Qiqi quickly got up and walked to the door. Master Zhao, let's go. It's just that their baby is too obedient. I'm so envious. Master Zhao hugged her shoulder and snorted. He's not as obedient as us. On the other side, Tang Yan's team was still working on the case. Just when everyone was exhausted, Officer Long suddenly shouted, "Captain Tang, is this the diatom mud?" The house in front was a 3-bedroom house. Everyone looked at the flashlight and then saw the yellow decorative wall. "From now on, don't touch anything inside. Old Sheng, inform the forensics team to move out." "That's great. We can sleep tonight." Old Sheng sighed happily. "What sleep? If the forensics team can't confirm that this is the place we're looking for, we have to continue." Tang Yan rubbed the space between his eyebrows and was a little irritated. "I'll definitely find this murderer. I'll let him go to heaven or hell." Chapter 948. Due to the lack of manpower in the forensics department, the chief borrowed a group of people from another team. Everyone started working in the middle of the night and started a detective investigation in the 3-bedroom house. In a short while, they made a new discovery. "Captain Tang, is this the mark you're looking for? The mark of the friction of a button?" At the entrance, the forensic doctor found some suspicious scratches. Tang Yan bent down to take a look with the flashlight and then heaved a sigh of relief. "This is the first scene. Everyone, don't destroy anything at the scene now. Captain Tang, there's a new discovery. There were footprints in the bathroom. Extract physical evidence and test the luminol reaction. As long as there was a breakthrough, the possibility of solving the case would be very high." Everyone busied themselves in the demolition house for another 2 hours. Finally, all the physical evidence was collected. After that, the group of people left the demolition house. Tang Yan walked at the front and said to the field team, "Old Sheng, bring the physical evidence back. Test what needs to be tested and verify what needs to be verified. We'll have a meeting at 7 tomorrow morning. The rest of you, change shifts and rest." "Got it, Captain Tang." Song Jiang would never have thought that Tang Yan would find a lot of evidence this time. He would not allow him to fool around like he did with Bicini's cases. 3:00 in the morning. Tang Yan drove to the hospital. He thought that Feng Shanshan and the baby would be asleep. However, through the glass of the ward, Tang Yan saw that Feng Shanshan was still breastfeeding the baby. She leaned against the wall with her head tilted tiredly. It was obvious that she was extremely sleepy. No one told him that it was not just hard for a woman to be pregnant. After giving birth, she thought that she would not be tortured anymore. In fact, this was the beginning of the torture. A newborn child had to drink milk every few hours. Although the mother's milk was swollen, she could still suck it out to store it. However, the baby was so young. As a biological mother, the mother could not abandon it. Tang Yan looked at it for a while, gently pushed the door open and walked in. Seeing that Feng Shanshan showed no signs of waking up, he reached out to support Feng Shanshan's head. The little thing in her arms might have seen its father appear, so it forgot to drink milk. It opened its eyes wide and looked at Tang Yan. Suddenly, the pain in her chest disappeared. Feng Shanshan opened her eyes with difficulty. Seeing that Tang Yan was right in front of her, she tried to adjust her posture. "Are you done? I've already talked to the nurse and found a responsible confinement nanny for you. She'll come to help you tomorrow." Tang Yan combed Feng Shanshan's hair and said, "I gained a lot tonight, so I can rest for now. I have a meeting at 7 tomorrow morning. Then sleep for a while." Feng Shanshan knew that this man had not rested for 2 days. He worked day and night to solve the case, but he still had to worry about the mother and son. Thinking about it, Feng Shanshan did not feel good. "I'm not tired. Let me hold the baby for a while. You can sleep for a while." Tang Yan looked at the little guy in Feng Shanshan's arms and said, "You haven't named it yet. Uncle told me that when naming a child, you have to look at the layout." "Yishuan, Tang Yishuan." Tang Yan carefully took the child from Feng Shanshan's arms. Such a small ball was the crystallization of him and Feng Shanshan. Go to sleep for a while. Then I'll sleep for an hour, and then you. Feng Shanshan lay down. Tang Yen nodded and gently rocked the child to coax him. After Feng Shanshan fell asleep, he put the baby down. He placed it between him and Feng Shanshan. In fact, Feng Shanshan was not really asleep. She secretly opened her eyes and saw Tang Yen leaning against the head of the bed. He had fallen asleep just like that, and he was sleeping very soundly. He was clearly extremely tired, but he still had to think about the mother and son. Thinking about it, Feng Shanshan's eyes suddenly turned red. Everything was worth it. The next morning, Tang Yen waited until the confinement nanny came before leaving. When he arrived at the station, all the clues found in the demolition house last night were put together. The group of people quickly entered the meeting room as if they were on steroids. Captain Tang, according to the test report, the friction marks left on the diatom mud wall were indeed caused by the buttons on Lu Zhao's body. The test results are consistent. Officer Long was the first to speak. So, the demolition house is the first crime scene. At the crime scene, we found a total of 3 sets of footprints. We took them to compare. One of them was a shoe size 40, which matched Lu Zhao's. The other was a shoe size 36, which was a woman's footprint. The last shoe size 42 should have been left by the murderer. In addition, we also found the murder weapon in the trash at the scene. It was a man's belt with the deceased's fingerprints on it. The most important thing is this. Old Sheng took out an evidence bag and handed it to Tang Yen. This cigarette butt was found behind the trash can in the bathroom. We went to find out about the owner of the house. The owner is a woman and doesn't smoke. Moreover, this cigarette butt is still fresh, so we suspect that it might have been left behind by the murderer. The DNA on it is still being tested. Okay, now increase the intensity of the investigation. According to the shoe size, Old Sheng, go and ask the people around to see if anyone has seen a man who is about 170 to 180 centimeters tall, weighs about 65 kilograms, and is wearing a mask. Xiao Long, continue to lead the team to the demolition house. With the first scene as the center, see if there are any traces of the murderer around. At the meeting, Tang Yen assigned tasks. I'll go visit the nearby tobacco and wine shops and see if the bosses still remember someone who came to buy this kind of cigarette. He believed that as long as there was a direction to investigate, the truth would only get closer and closer. On this day, there were several invitations on Xing Zhao's desk. Because it was almost the end of the year, there were more and more banquets at the Chamber of Commerce. He would attend a few of his friends' banquets, but the Song family might also attend. Thinking of this, Xing Zhao stopped his work and called Tang Yen to ask about the progress. How's it going now? I've already caught the murderer's feet. If you need any help, just let me know. Now, Xing Zhao was helping the Lu family stabilize the situation. Because Lu Zhao was no longer around, Lu Zichen still needed time to adapt to taking over. However, he also understood the fierce gaze the Song family had on Lu Zichen. If the Song family wanted to eliminate the roots, then the murderer who killed Lu Zhao might commit another crime and take Lu Zichen's life. Therefore, Xing Zhao got someone to follow Lu Zichen. In the evening, Xing Zhao attended a friend's banquet. He did not bring any female companions with him. During the banquet, he also saw Song Buji. Chapter 949. CEO Sheng is leaving just like that? Xing Zhao adjusted his black coat and did not reply to Song Buji. How did I offend CEO Sheng again? I just want to communicate with people. After all, I can't compare to your Song family's madness. You know better than me why Lu Zhao died. Don't you think it's boring to turn Jianchuan into a bloody mess? Xing Zhao asked Song Buji. If you play with human lives, you have to pay the price with human lives. However, I don't think the lives of the Song family are that valuable. I hope your Song family can afford the result of your madness. With that, Xing Xiao walked around Song Buji and left with Su Che. As expected, Song Buji looked at Xing Xiao's back and sneered. It was difficult for the Song family's little tricks to hide from Xing Xiao, let alone such a big commotion this time. Song Buji looked at Xing Xiao's back as he left with a meaningful gaze. In the past, Song Jiang had been extremely secretive and planned with those women. But now, he was so brazen that everyone knew that it was the Song family who had done it. This was probably what people said. If God wanted to destroy a person, he would first make him crazy. According to Song Jiang's way of playing, his cards would not be enough to play for 2 or 3 years. With Xing Xiao's opponents jumping around, the more calm he was, the more likely it would not be long before Song Buji felt that he would have to collect his father's corpse. After the cocktail party ended, Song Buji received news that Zhongding fully supported the Lu family's development. Moreover, Xing Xiao directly said that he would protect Lu Zichen. This was the first time Xing Xiao had responded to the Song family's provocation so many times. And the moment he responded, he revealed a big piece of news. This was because Xing Xiao was hinting that Lu Zhao's death was related to the Song family. Thinking about the lives of Changrong Electronics, the outside world had a tacit understanding. The Song family was definitely not a decent businessman because it involved human lives. Lu Zichen was placed in the spotlight just like that. Who else would dare to make a move? Xing Xiao did not believe it. Song Jiang quickly received the news. Previously, the Song family had provoked him so much, but Xing Xiao did not express anything on the surface. Therefore, Song Jiang had always been testing Xing Xiao's bottom line. This time, Xing Xiao had directly expressed his stance. He could not do anything to Xing Xiao for a while. No, it was not the first time he had run into a wall in front of Xing Xiao. Old Rong, it looks like we won't be able to touch the rest of the Lu clan for a while, right? No, we have to move to prove that this has nothing to do with us. The man sitting next to Song Jiang had a deep smile on his face. The police are investigating very closely. However, even if they find out, it's useless because I've already found a scapegoat. The older, the wiser. Song Jiang was very satisfied with this result. This time, Song Buji was still outside the door, listening to the two old things' crazy discussion. However, this time, Song Jiang noticed the shadow on the ground. Buji, why are you standing at the door? Come in. After Song Buji heard this, he walked in and showed a rare respect. Dad, Uncle Rong. Buji, you're your father's hope. Cheer up. Don't be afraid. Uncle Rong is planning everything for you. Song Buji was indeed playful and ruthless. However, he felt that the two of them had been playing with fire recently. Right now, he was thinking about whether he should protect himself or not. What did the hatred from more than 20 years ago have to do with him? Dad, I think you're too impatient. Right now, the whole city is pointing at the Song family. Shouldn't we not expose ourselves so thoroughly? What do you know, child? This way, we can deter those who don't obey us. At the same time, we can also see how many people are willing to stand on our Song family's side. Song Buji almost rolled his eyes. This was already a society ruled by law. They could still wander in the gray area by doing dirty things behind their backs. Why were they so brazen now? No wonder the Song family was about to be wiped out 25 years ago. Child, with your Uncle Rong here, just wait for the show. Since the two of them were so stubborn, he wouldn't be the lobbyist. Although he was the one who suggested inviting Uncle Rong back, he deeply felt that power had changed people beyond recognition. Tang Yan's side had made great progress. After the efforts of several parties, they had successfully locked onto the suspect. He was a single man in his early 40s. However, at the same time, Feng Shanshan stayed in the hospital and felt that someone was watching her. After all, she had been a forensic assistant for a long time. Feng Shanshan had this sensitivity. She was afraid that someone was seeking revenge, so she called Tang Yan. The person who was seeking revenge had already been killed on the spot. If he could still appear around Feng Shanshan, he might be the murderer of the Lu Zhao case. Therefore, Tang Yen immediately sent Xiaolong over to guard Feng Shanshan's ward in plain clothes. After Xiaolong was in place, Feng Shanshan was relieved and took care of the baby in peace. This was a hospital, and people came and went. Even at night, there were many doctors and nurses. She was rarely alone. If this person was here to seek revenge on Tang Yen, then it would be even better. At least, this person would not stab Tang Yen when he was handling the case. Xiaolong could tell that Feng Shanshan was very brave. As the wife of a police officer, she was very conscious. At night, Tang Yen went to take over Xiaolong's shift. When he saw his wife and child, he hugged them tightly. "I will do my best to protect you and your child." "I'm not afraid," Feng Shanshan replied. Feng Shanshan replied, "I've long been prepared to face danger when I'm with you. But you know that I don't like to be threatened. So, when the time comes, no matter what choice I make, you have to believe me. Of course, I hope that I'll never meet such a day. We'll go home tomorrow." Tang Yen kissed Feng Shanshan's forehead. "I'll be more at ease with you at home." "Got it. Go and do your work. You really don't have to worry about me." Tang Yen glanced at Feng Shanshan and kissed his son's head. Then, he told the confinement nanny to take good care of Feng Shanshan. After leaving the hospital, Tang Yen went straight to the hospital surveillance cameras. He wanted to confirm if the murderer had really appeared around the hospital. However, he did not expect to find the man wearing a mask in the hospital surveillance cameras. When Xiaolong saw it, he was so scared that he broke out in a cold sweat. To think that junior sister Shanshan was so calm. Is the murderer here to show off? Is he really not afraid of being caught? Because of Xiaolong's words, Tang Yen suddenly frowned. Throwing the body in the van was a provocative act in itself. Now that the murderer had openly appeared here, other than provocation, there was another possibility. It was to divert the police's attention. Chapter 950. That woman with size 36 shoes, she was the real murderer, and everything else was set up by someone. In addition to diverting the police's attention, it was also to stall for time. This way, the murderer could achieve his goal of toying with the police. "Xiaolong, continue to guard here and protect Shanshan. I'll go back to the station first." Tang Yen suddenly turned to Xiaolong. "But Captain Tang, I'm afraid. I can't protect junior sister Shanshan. You just need to make sure that strangers can't get close to the ward. Pretend that you don't know that the suspect is around." After Tang Yen said that, he patted Xiaolong's shoulder. "I'll go find the real murderer." "Captain Tang, are you saying that this man isn't the real murderer?" Tang Yen did not say anything and left the hospital as fast as he could. When he returned to the station, he called Mu Chichi. "Chichi, I have something very important to ask you now. How tall is Lu Zhao?" "About 170 centimeters. But the strangulation marks on his neck are slanted from the center of his neck to both sides." "What does this mean?" "The murderer isn't as tall as the deceased," Mu Chichi answered seriously. "But we can't rule out the possibility that the murderer might have set up a trap because such an injury is easy to fake. At the first scene, we also found a set of footprints of a woman. She was between 145 and 160 centimeters tall." Tang Yen explained the reason for his question. After Mu Chichi heard this, she quickly continued, "Lu Zhao is a man. Although he's already middle-aged, he's still healthy. To strangle him to death without any struggle, we didn't consider a woman, but we can't rule out the possibility that the woman is a fitness enthusiast, or that she knows boxing and fighting skills. My suggestion is, Captain Tang, you can go to the scene again. With a new perspective, you will definitely gain a lot. Of course, if you can bring me along, that would be even better." When Tang Yen heard her last sentence, he rejected it without thinking. "Your family will never agree this time. Mu Qiqi put down her phone and secretly looked at Xing Xiao, who was sitting at the side reading documents. He was serious and had no intention of looking at her at all. He was busy. Xiao Xiao, Captain Tang has something to tell you. Mu Qiqi took the opportunity to throw the problem to Tang Yen. Xing Xiao looked up at Mu Qiqi. Instead of answering the call, he asked her directly, "Do you think I'm deaf? I heard everything you said just now." Mu Qiqi was stunned for a moment. She felt that she was really stupid when she was pregnant. There are new developments in the case. You also want to solve Lu Zhao's case as soon as possible, right? You're 8 months pregnant. With you and Captain Tang here. Mu Qiqi said seriously, "It's not that I have to work on this case, but I want to contribute. The Song family is now attacking the people around us. Soon, it will be our turn." Xing Xiao put down the document, crossed his legs and looked at her. After a few seconds of silence, he reached out to Mu Qiqi. "Give me your phone." Mu Qiqi obediently handed the phone over. Xing Xiao got up and walked to the window to talk to Tang Yen for a while. Then, he returned to his seat and returned the phone to Mu Qiqi. "Don't force yourself." "Never." Mu Qiqi raised her hand and swore. However, Xing Xiao did not believe her at all. "It's really useless to see you swear." Even so, Xing Xiao still brought Mu Qiqi, who was wrapped tightly, out the door. On the way, Mu Qiqi looked at Xing Xiao's side profile. His eyes flickered in the mottled light. "Although you didn't say anything, I know that you've taken responsibility for Lu Zhao's death. In your heart, you want to catch this murderer as soon as possible and give the Lu family justice more than anyone else. Your public statement in support of the Lu family is the best evidence. Xiao Xiao, I don't have to put myself in danger. I just feel that I can really help with this matter. That's why I asked you to bring me out. This is my domain. Let me protect you. Is that okay?" After hearing Mu Qiqi's words, Xing Xiao suddenly laughed. "Then you have to protect me, you little thing who doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Humph, you're looking down on me." Regardless of whether Mu Qiqi had the ability to do so or not, Xing Xiao felt that the fact that she could say such words had convinced him. Soon, the three of them gathered at the scene of the murder. As they were in a demolition building, there was no electricity, so Tang Yen prepared a flashlight for the two of them. "It's very messy here. Please protect Mu Qiqi well. Don't fall," Tang Yen reminded him. Everyone in Jianchuan knew how precious this person was. If anything happened to him here, Tang Yen felt that he probably wouldn't be able to live anymore. Xing Xiao supported Mu Qiqi, and Mu Qiqi was also very careful. From the moment she entered the crime scene, she had been very cautious. She had been listening attentively to Tang Yan's description of what had happened on the wall. "This is the place where Lu Zhao died." Mu Qiqi squatted down with Xing Xiao's support and carefully observed her surroundings. "What are you looking for? If it's really as you said and a woman was involved in this case, then under such intense movements, her hair should have fallen off." Mu Qiqi picked up a long red hair from the ground. "Have the forensics team confirmed it?" "Of course they've confirmed it. This hair belongs to the original owner of this house." After Mu Qiqi heard this, she stood up with Xing Xiao's help. "Master Xiao, help me walk around." The two of them wandered around the house with the flashlight. Mu Qiqi did not even let go of the few bedrooms. When the original owner moved, he didn't seem to have taken anything with him. "There are still so many clothes here." As she said this, Mu Qiqi stood in front of the wooden wardrobe. After saying this, Mu Qiqi took down one of the clothes and smelled it carefully. It smelled of mold. Of course, there was also a hint of perfume. Mu Qiqi took another one and found that there was only a moldy smell on it. "Captain Tang, when did the original owner move away?" Mu Qiqi suddenly asked sensitively. 4 months ago, Tang Yen answered from outside. "There's something wrong with this clothes." Mu Qiqi handed a beige windbreaker to Tang Yen. See if you can extract anything important from it. What's the problem? There's the smell of perfume in the clothes, Mu Chichi reminded him. Did the original owner leave it behind? Tang Yen took the windbreaker and put it in front of his nose to sniff it. You men don't use perfume, so you don't know much about perfume. No matter how famous a perfume is, it will only stay on clothes for about 5 days at most. Moreover, other clothes have a moldy smell. Only this one has a fragrance. It's been 2 days and 3 nights since the crime happened. It's the lingering period of the high-grade perfume. It can be seen that during the period when Lu Zhao was killed, a woman who liked to wear perfume had worn this clothes. This fragrance is the lingering smell on the clothes. Mu Chichi explained to Tang Yen. Chapter 951. I'm afraid I'll have to find an expert. Mu Chichi shook her head. That was all she knew about perfume. After all, she didn't need anything else other than perfume to remove the smell. I'll go and get the surveillance footage from the nearby area again and visit the residents nearby to see if they've seen a woman wearing this dress and walking around. Or rather, I can get the surveillance footage of Lu Zhao being carried into the van and look at it again. Because of this dress, Tang Yen had a new direction to investigate the case. Leave the perfume to me, Xing Xiao, who had been silent all this time, suddenly said to the two of them. Mu Chichi and Tang Yen suddenly turned their heads and looked at Xing Xiao together. Xing Xiao continued, I'll give you an accurate answer tomorrow morning. Then I'll have to trouble you, CEO Sheng. But in order to ensure the integrity of the physical evidence, I'll send someone to your research department later to investigate with your people. Tang Yen knew that Xing Xiao had an independent research department that covered a wide range of fields. One of the important reasons was to meet Mu Chichi's needs before deciding whether to mass-produce it. Tomorrow, let's unveil the real murderer. The three of them searched the house carefully for a long time. Finally, when they finally left, Tang Yen asked Xing Xiao before he got into the car, CEO Sheng, how confident are you that the Song family did this? We'll know if there are any new faces around Songjiang recently. I'll send someone to figure this out. You just have to investigate the Lu Zhao case, Xing Xiao replied to Tang Yen. Tang Yen put his hands on his waist and nodded in the direction Xing Xiao had left. He could feel the anger from Xing Xiao's body. It seemed that the Song family had really stepped on his bottom line. After Xing Xiao got into the car, Mu Chichi quickly asked him for credit. I said that I'm useful, right? So, it's definitely right for you to let me participate. Xing Xiao tilted his head to look at her and pushed her head. It's time to go home and sleep. Is it so hard to praise me? Mu Chichi mumbled. It was too much. When Xing Xiao heard her complaint, he finally rubbed her head. Your Captain Tang can't do without you anymore. Haven't you noticed? That's the biggest compliment I can give you. It's useless if he can't live without me. I have to give birth to the baby first. I only hope that we can solve Lu Zhao's case as soon as possible. That way, you'll feel much better. Without another word, Xing Xiao drove away with Mu Chichi. After returning home, he immediately informed the people in the scientific research department to cooperate with the police to extract the fragrance from the clothes as soon as possible. He also wanted to know the brand and origin of the perfume. As for the insides of the clothes, they absolutely could not be touched, because there might be biological traces of the woman left on them, such as skin or hair, which could be used to extract DNA. The people Tang Yen sent knew how to protect the physical evidence. The scientific research department had done an examination and had to immediately send it to the police station for further tests by the forensic doctor. Xing Xiao had promised a whole morning, but before the sun rose, stay up late had already come to a conclusion in the research department. He also found a sample of the perfume and asked the police to bring it back to the police station. The name of this perfume is Hypnotize Poison. It's a legendary perfume launched by Dior in 1998, Red Poison. Tang Yen read the detailed explanation left by the people from Zhongting's research department. A female murderer wearing designer perfume? Tang Yen thought about it and felt that it was too interesting. He took the sample of the perfume and sniffed it. He felt that the smell was very special and a little pungent. It wasn't a problem with the perfume, but the man was too straight. However, for now, the use of the perfume had to be put aside. That was because he was checking the surveillance cameras at various intersections. Most importantly, he was repeatedly watching the video of Lu Zhao being carried into the van. He had watched the entire scene more than 10 times. Originally, he had planned to give up, but the shadow on the glass door of the convenience store made Tang Yen press the pause button. Then, he zoomed in infinitely and found that when the van driver was settling the bill with the owner of the store, the woman who was buying cigarettes was standing beside them. She had long hair and was wearing a beige trench coat. It was the one that Muchichi had grabbed. Then, the van driver went out and drove away. A moment later, the woman also left the convenience store with a mask on. Old Sheng, think of a way to verify this woman's identity. Tang Yen pointed at the sleepy Old Sheng and instructed. Old Sheng took a look and his eyes widened. Boss, who is this? The murderer of Lu Zhao's case. A woman? Old Sheng was in disbelief. She has an accomplice. Old Sheng looked at the trench coat beside Tang Yen and knew that he was already confident. He immediately perked up and sat down in front of the computer. Captain Tang, give me some time. At that moment, Tang Yen was in the branch office, racing against time to solve the case. The Song family was also planning to make a move again. This time, their target was Lu Zhao's daughter-in-law and grandson because women and children were the easiest to deal with. This could also destroy Lu Zichen's determination to move forward. Song Jiang and Uncle Rong were discussing in the study. At this moment, Song Buji also found out that Uncle Rong had a very fierce gang in his hands that specialized in dealing with difficulties for the rich. This was why Uncle Rong had come head-on. It was simple and crude, not giving people a chance to react. The two old men were discussing in the study while Song Buji sat in his office, watching the surveillance cameras. The police were trying to unravel the truth, and these two lunatics were plotting a murder case. Did they really think that Tang Yen and Xing Xiao were dead? The old man used to have some concerns, but now that Uncle Rong was back, he had completely lost his mind. In order not to be dragged down by the old man, Song Buji felt that it was necessary for him to keep a hand up his sleeve just in case. It was beautiful to play games with Xing Xiao and Muchichi, but he did not want to completely involve himself in it. The next morning, Muchichi got up and heard from Xing Xiao that the Lu family would go to the branch office to retrieve Lu Zhao's body and arrange for the cremation. I'll go and comfort the Lu family on your behalf. Muchichi got up as well. Although you've already been there, I've also seen Lu Zhao's body. I think they'll be more at ease if I go and comfort them. Xing Xiao turned around from the mirror and glanced at Muchichi. He did not refute her suggestion. Wear something thicker, big-bellied woman. Muchichi was very unhappy when she heard that. There are two of me. Chapter 952. In the future, no one will sacrifice themselves in front of me. Although Xing Xiao was saying this to Muchichi, it was more like he was swearing to himself. Muchichi put on her shoes and stood up. Looking at the man who was becoming more and more responsible, she couldn't help but feel sorry for him. It's the Shen family that implicated you. If I was afraid that you would be implicated, I wouldn't have accepted your secret love. You're bringing this up again. Muchichi quickly covered her face. Can't you leave me some face? Xing Xiao stood up and curled his lips. His tall figure had become even taller and more burly because of his responsibility. He looked more mature and reliable. Let's go. After breakfast, it was 8:15 on Old Chang's side. It took him an hour to finally find some clues. Captain Tang, do you think it's this woman? Her name is Shen Mei, a Singaporean. She was imprisoned for 7 years for theft and intentional assault. She was released from prison last year and disappeared. I don't know who she's working for now. Tang Yen finally saw the woman's face. What a thin and beautiful woman. If she was acting with another man and lured Lu Zhao to the demolition building, then no one would suspect that such a weak-looking woman was actually a murderer. Did you extract anything valuable from the clothes? Tang Yen asked as he flipped through the information. There are the deceased's fingerprints and hair that doesn't belong to the original owner of the clothes. In other words, Shen Mei had strangled Lu Zhao to death in this clothes. Should I apply to summon her for questioning? We can't alert the enemy. Tang Yen shook his head. If you don't have conclusive evidence, it's impossible for a repeat offender like Shen Mei to admit to it. You have to know how strong that kind of person's mentality is. Then what should we do now? Old Xing scratched his head and asked, are we going to let her continue to get away with it? Just as Tang Yen was thinking about it carefully, thinking that he should hold a meeting to plan the next step, a subordinate at the door came to report that the Lu family had come to collect the body. At the same time, Mu Chichi also came. Captain Tang, let me do the work of comforting the Lu family. Mu Chichi was wearing a brown windbreaker and had a round belly. She walked in front of Tang Yen and said, Go ahead. Tang Yen nodded. No one was more suitable than Mu Chichi for this matter. A moment later, Mu Chichi, wearing sterile clothes and white gloves, led the Lu family to the morgue. This was also the first time Mu Chichi met Lu Zichen. He was not tall, but he was very handsome. His face was full of grief. It was obvious that he respected his father a lot. Mr. Lu, I'm very sorry about your father's death, but I believe that with the police's efforts, they will definitely give your Lu family an explanation. Lu Zichen and his wife bowed to Mu Chichi. He knew who Mu Chichi was. On behalf of my parents, I would like to express my gratitude to you. This is your father's relic, the button on his suit. Because it's an important piece of evidence, we can't return it to you. Lu Zichen's eyes lit up when he heard the word material evidence. He asked, do you have any clues about the murderer? Just go back and bury your father. Those who killed him, don't even think about escaping. Mu Chichi encouraged him seriously. Also, your wife doesn't look well. You're the pillar of the Lu family now. You must take good care of your family's safety. Thank you, Mrs. Sheng. If my father is in heaven and knows that he can still meet so many good people after he leaves, he will definitely be very pleased. Mu Chichi smiled at him. But just as the two of them turned around, Mu Chichi suddenly smelled a familiar scent. She quickly called out to Lu Zichen, wait a minute, please wait a moment. Lu Zichen turned around with his wife and saw Mu Chichi chasing after them. She asked Lu Zichen's wife, Mrs. Lu, do you wear perfume? Mrs. Lu shook her head in confusion. After having a child, I almost don't wear perfume. What's wrong? Did you see a woman this morning? When I sent my child to school, I did meet a woman at the school gate. At that time, my son fell down, and she kindly helped him up. She also told me that she was a new teacher at the kindergarten. Mrs. Lu recalled carefully and sniffed her body. There's the smell of perfume. Then can you call the kindergarten right now to confirm your son's safety? Also, get someone reliable to bring your son back. You must be quick, Mu Chichi said anxiously. The murderer's next target was not Lu Zichen, but Lu Zichen's wife and child. After hearing Mu Chichi's words, Lu Zichen immediately guessed what was going on. He immediately said to Mu Chichi, my wife and I will go pick him up right away. Don't worry. I'm just guessing. Don't alert the kindergarten first. Instead, the other party will notice and take action in advance. I'll go look for Captain Tang now to discuss a solution. No need, I heard everything, Tang Yen said from behind Mu Chichi. I'll lead the team over now, but Mr. and Mrs. Lu, it's best for you to stay at the police station. Don't go anywhere and wait for our news. That was the effect of perfume. Chichi, you stay here too. Mu Chichi instantly understood Tang Yan's intentions and nodded. Don't worry, we'll wait for your news. I hope this is a false alarm. Can you take me there? I want to see my son. Mrs. Lu took a step forward excitedly. However, Mu Chichi stopped her. Believe me, Mrs. Lu. They want to save your child just like you. If you go with them, you might become one of the murderer's targets. At that time, not only will the police have to save your son, but they will also have to take care of you. The gains won't make up for the losses. I'm also going to be a mother soon. I understand your feelings, but at this time, you must think of the child. After Mrs. Lu heard this, she hugged her husband and cried. Lu Zichen immediately comforted her. I believe in the police. You believe with me, okay? When Tang Yen saw this, he immediately led the team and set off. It seemed that the Song family did not intend to stop. Then, Tang Yen called Xing Shao and borrowed a person. In terms of strength, he was above Su Che, but in terms of agility, no one could compare to Su Che. Moreover, that kindergarten was very close to Zhongteng. Tang Yen hoped that Su Che could go over and save them first. At this moment, Song Jiang might not know that the identities of the two generals in Uncle Rong's hands had been exposed. And they would be exposed even more next. Chapter 953. Soon, the principal of the kindergarten was also notified and immediately made a phone call to confirm whether the children of the Lu family were staying in the class. However, after confirming, the teacher found that the Lu family's child was not in his seat. The principal immediately went out to verify, but he heard from the form teacher that the child had drunk too much water and wanted to go to the bathroom, so the new teacher had already sent him over. How long has it been? 20 minutes, the form teacher said after looking at his watch. He hasn't come back in 20 minutes. Don't you know to go and take a look? The principal panicked and quickly brought his assistant to the bathroom to look for the child. However, there was no trace of the child in the bathroom of the entire building. Seeing this, the principal immediately asked someone to check the surveillance footage. Other than the school bus leaving, there were no other suspicious traces. With this situation, the principal immediately replied to the police that the child might have been kidnapped on the school bus. Tang Yen immediately asked the principal to give him the license plate number of the school bus and sent someone to the transportation department to assist in the investigation. As for Su Che, he still followed the plan and went to the school. This was to prevent Shen Mei from creating a diversion because it was very likely that she was still hiding the child in the school. Su Che searched around the school, but he went to all the places that could hide people. In the end, he stopped on the 5th floor of the bathroom and asked the school's security guard, "Can you open the balcony for me to see?" The security captain thought for a moment and answered, "Sir, this place has been sealed all year round. It's impossible for anyone to go up. You'll know once you go up and take a look. If something happens to the child up there, will you be responsible?" Of course, the security guard did not dare to take responsibility. He quickly took out the key and opened the door to the rooftop on the 5th floor. Other than a locked storeroom, it was empty. There was nothing else. The security guard heaved a sigh of relief when he saw this. "Look, I told you, there won't be a problem, right?" But at this moment, a child's moan came from the storeroom. Su Che immediately went forward and kicked open the door of the storeroom. He saw that the 3 or 4-year-old child was tied up and hung on the beam. If he hadn't come up, then no one would have known that the child had dried up here. Su Che took a big step forward and immediately put the child down. When the security guards saw this, they had nothing to say because they were very guilty. "This is your school's security. Are you all just decorations?" After shouting, Su Che carried the child and ran down from the balcony. The Song family's madness had reached the point where they didn't even let their children go. Su Che had never seen such a scene. Such a small child was hung from such a high place. How big of a shadow was this to him? He might be affected for the rest of his life. "Uncle, am I going to die?" the child asked quietly in Su Che's arms. Su Che stopped, squatted on the ground, and let the child sit on his legs. He replied, "You won't die, because Uncle is here to save you." Child, remember, in this world, the strongest people are soldiers. If you're afraid in the future, become a soldier, be a policeman, and catch bad guys, understand? The child didn't seem to understand, but he nodded heavily. With that, Su-che carried the child and sent him to the infirmary. Originally, Su-che should have breathed a sigh of relief, but when he saw the female doctor holding the equipment and wearing a mask, he felt very unnatural. Would a doctor be nervous to the point of trembling when seeing a patient? Then, the nurse came out and closed the door. But at this critical moment, Su-che rushed in and grabbed the doctor's hand. "You're the murderer, aren't you?" The female doctor started to dodge, and the nurse looked at her face carefully. "You're not Dr. Gao." The woman struggled to escape, but she fell into Su-che's hands. Unless she was a dead person, no one could escape his shackles. Soon, old Sheng and the others caught up to the school bus. They thought that since Shenmei was caught at school, there should be no problem on the school bus. However, old Sheng recognized the driver of the school bus. That was Shenmei's accomplice. This time, old Sheng didn't give people the chance to crush his intestines like before in J City. He took out a gun and pointed it at the back of the man's head. After the man surrendered, he pressed him against the steering wheel and handcuffed him. "You won't even let a child go. Let's see where you two thieves can run this time." After an entire morning's operation, with Su-che's help, Tang Yen successfully rescued the child and caught Shenmei and her accomplice. When Muchichi received the call, she couldn't help but smile as if a heavy burden had been lifted. The child is fine. The doctor has also seen him. It's not a big deal. Captain Tang and the others will bring him to you in a while. In the future, you have to care about him more. Don't let him leave any shadows. When Mrs. Lu heard this, she immediately squatted on the ground and heaved a sigh of relief. Thank God. On the other hand, Lu Zichen thanked Muchichi several times as well. What are you thanking me for? This is what we should do. After a long hour, the child was brought back to the police station. Along with him, 2 suspects were brought back. Tang Yen returned the child to the Lu couple and instructed old Sheng to keep an eye on the 2 suspects in the interrogation room. When Mrs. Lu saw the child, tears welled up in her eyes. Baby, let Mom take a good look at you. Are you okay? The child leaned into his mother's arms and shook his head. Uncle is so amazing. Uncle saved me. The child pointed at Su-che, who was standing at the door. It's good that you're fine, it's good that you're fine. The family of 3 hugged each other. Muchichi stood at the side and understood the feeling of regaining something that had been lost. Seeing this scene, she was very gratified. But at the same time, she also knew that Lu Zhao's case had to continue. So, she walked to Tang Yan's side and asked, Captain Tang, when do you plan to interrogate these 2? Wait for the results of that strand of hair, Tang Yen replied with his arms crossed. Otherwise, there's no conclusive evidence to prove that Lu Zhao's death is related to her. During the interrogation, can I participate? Tang Yen looked at Muchichi and then at her bulging abdomen. Go back and rest. You've done everything you can. Leave the rest to us. I'm afraid that these 2 won't admit to being instigated behind the scenes. Chapter 954. I have already asked someone to take Shenmei's hair and compare it with the one found on the clothes. Yes, we will have the answer soon. Let's go back. Su-che was also rushing her. Madam, Chief Sheng asked me to take you home. Muchichi looked at the 3 members of the Lu family and nodded. Got it. I'll pack up and go back now. Don't worry about Shanshan. My mommy and 5th aunt will help. Thank you. I will hurry up and solve the case as soon as possible. The people Muchichi hated the most were those who touched the old, women, and children, and the Song family did all of them. Therefore, no matter what others thought or planned, as long as Tang Yen could use her, she would help the police and the Song family settle the score at all costs. After Mu Chichi left, Tang Yen asked the police to block the news in case the Song family came to cause trouble. Before he could get any solid evidence, he wanted to see what he could dig out from these two people's mouths. Then, the three members of the Lu family also said goodbye to Tang Yen. Captain Tang, thank you so much for today. Lu Zichen protected his wife and daughter. If it wasn't for the police's timely rescue, I'm afraid my son would have been dead. The person you should thank is Chi-Chi. She was pregnant last night and found the smell of perfume at the murder scene. Today, she came to send your father off. Otherwise, we wouldn't have found out that the murderer's target was your son, Tang Yen said honestly. Jianchuan has been very chaotic recently. Be careful. We know. We'll leave my father to you. Lu Zichen's family of three bowed to Tang Yen. It's my job. Don't worry. After that, Tang Yen sent someone to send the Lu family away. However, just as Lu Zichen walked out of the police station with his wife and children, he saw Su Che waiting at the door. President Lu, our President Sheng wants to see you. I wonder if it's convenient. Lu Zichen looked at Mu Chichi in the car and nodded. I'll follow behind you. Now that Xing Xiao wanted to meet the Lu family, he would not avoid it at all. Anyway, Xing Xiao had already expressed his full support for the Lu family. This was also to prevent the Song family from continuing to target the Lu family. Soon, Su Che brought Mu Chichi and the Lu family to Zhongting's office. The first thing Xing Xiao did when he rose from his desk was to hug Mu Chichi and arrange for Lu Zichen's family to be seated. Chief Sheng, what are your orders? You are not my subordinate, so our relationship is one of cooperation. After Xing Xiao finished speaking, he asked his secretary to place the drafted contract in front of Lu Zichen. This is the letter of intent for the cooperation between Zhongting and the Lu Corporation. As long as the Lu Corporation's board of directors recognizes your identity, Zhongting will invest a large amount of money to support the Lu Corporation's education. There are detailed amounts in it. How did someone know that a woman was involved? Even so, both of them were arrested. However, Uncle Rong wasn't worried at all that his identity would be exposed because he knew very well that the police wouldn't be able to get anything out of them. However, losing two people just like that made him very uncomfortable. No, it should be said that he was angry. He wanted to find out who had found out about Shinmei. Soon, the news that Zhongting was going to support the Lu Corporation was spread by the media in Jianchuan. At this critical juncture, when those partners saw that Lu Zhao was dead, they all had plans to retreat. However, now that Zhongting had invested in them and their boss had spoken, these small fries naturally chose to firmly cling onto the Lu Corporation's thigh. When Song Buji received the news, he immediately laughed. This was the result of Uncle Rong making a move. Xing Xiao was a person who didn't like others to provoke him. Now that Yeshang Group had bullied them to such an extent, as long as he moved his fingers and supported the Lu Corporation, Yeshang Group would not have an easy time for the next few years. Chapter 955. What are you saying? Song Jiang was so angry that he was almost confused. Because of your radicalism, Xing Xiao has already openly invested in Yeshang Group. Do you know the consequences of his intervention? Yeshang Group is a foreign company to begin with. It has already taken a lot of effort to compete with local companies. Now that Zhongting has intervened, they have everything now. What can Yeshang Group use to compete? Or are you still very confident in our foreign financial industry? After hearing Song Buji's call, Song Jiang was so angry that he almost smashed his phone. Xing Xiao, it's Xing Xiao again. He has the final say here. It doesn't matter if you admit it or not. This is the truth. If you want Yeshang Group to have a harder time, you can continue to take the riskiest path with Uncle Rong, but I won't accompany you. After hearing Song Buji's words, Song Jiang's eyes widened. You bastard. Don't you know why your father is doing this? You're still making sarcastic remarks. Yeshang Group is facing so much pressure now. Now that Zhongting is helping the Lu Corporation crush them, I don't think you'll be able to play until Deputy City Mayor Liang is replaced. After saying that, Song Buji hung up the phone. Speaking of which, he seemed to be at fault too. Half a year ago, Uncle Rome was not like this. Who knew that he would become so fierce and ruthless? What about Song Jiang? His son hung up on him. Now that Yeshan Group was still facing such a crisis, he only wanted to know what went wrong. Therefore, after returning home, he directly questioned Uncle Rome. Didn't we agree to leave everything to you? Won't there be a problem? But what's the result now? Uncle Rome was sitting in the living room drinking tea. When he heard Song Jiang's questioning, he lost his temper. My people are risking their lives for you. I haven't even said anything, but you're the one blaming them first. Old Song, we're in the same boat. Now that the boat is leaking, we can only think of repairing it. Internal strife won't work. My people have gone in, but you don't have to worry. They won't say anything. However, we have to think of a way to get rid of Xing Shao. Otherwise, you won't be able to do anything in Jianchuan in the future. After hearing his old friend's words, Song Jiang calmed down and nodded. The success or failure of revenge depends on Xing Shao alone. Without him, the Shen family, the Xing family, and even the Lu family are just ants in my hands. It's easy to crush them. Since you already know, let's take our time to think about it. After all, they knew very well that Xing Shao was the core of everything. You stay at home and calm down. I'm going to inquire about a few things. Uncle Rome put down his teacup and prepared to go out. He had to find out who had found out about Shen Mei. In the Jianchuan branch office, Tang Yan was sitting in the interrogation room. Opposite him was a petite and beautiful woman. She was the famous Shen Mei. Why did you kidnap that child? Tang Yan's tone was still calm because he knew that he would have to waste a lot of time dealing with this cunning suspect. I just saw that the Lu family is rich, so I wanted to have a child. Shen Mei lowered her head and answered very calmly. Because she was caught red-handed kidnapping the child, she couldn't deny it. In addition, there was the child's confession and so on. Even if she wanted to refute, she didn't have the chance. Is that so? But you locked the child on the rooftop and didn't chase him away. Your intention was to kill him, not to take him away, right? I just wanted to wait for the limelight to pass before I took him away, Shen Mei answered smoothly. So, you want to extort money from the Lu family to ransom him? Yes. Shen Mei continued to nod. The one locked up next door is your companion? Tang Yan didn't continue to dwell on the child. Instead, he took the opportunity to change the topic. Yes. Then do you know that in Lu Zhao's case, he's a murder suspect? Tang Yan asked again. The surveillance footage shows that he moved Lu Zhao's body into the van. His DNA was also found in the cigarette butts found at the crime scene. Do you know about this? I don't know. Shen Mei denied it without thinking. She didn't panic at all. Tang Yan smiled when he saw how calm she was. You were only imprisoned last year. You should be familiar with the police station, right? So, I'm afraid you won't be afraid of this interrogation room. It's a kidnapping crime. There's no death. At most, you'll be sentenced to 10 years in prison. 10 years later, you'll be a good man again. Is that what you're planning? Let me ask you again. Do you know that Lu Zhao was killed? No matter how Tang Yan asked, Shen Mei was still a pool of stagnant water. I really don't know. Tang Yan didn't panic. Instead, he leaned closer to Shen Mei and sniffed her body. This perfume is still very strong. Do you recognize this dress? Tang Yan raised the evidence bag in his hand so that Shen Mei could see clearly what was inside. When Shen Mei saw the clothes, her expression changed slightly. Let me ask you again. Do you know anything about Lu Zhao's case? Shen Mei raised her head and looked at Tang Yan. Her cunning expression made Tang Yan very impatient. I don't know. Shen Mei insisted that she didn't know. When the man next door brought Lu Zhao's body into the van, you were in the convenience store next door. You were wearing this and chatting with the boss and the van driver. Do you want me to show you more detailed surveillance footage? Shen Mei's eyes suddenly widened. That's not me. It seems that you really treat the police as fools. In the end, Tang Yen took out an evidence bag. There was a strand of hair in it. This strand of hair was taken from the trench coat. It matches your DNA. What else do you have to say? Shen Mei didn't say anything because from this moment on, she pretended to be mute. No matter how Tang Yen interrogated her, she just wouldn't admit it. With the evidence in my hands, you and the man next door can no longer stay out of this matter. Why are you suffering so much? Of course, I know that you're silent because you're waiting for your sugar daddy to come and save you. The reason why I'm still willing to sit here is because I want to know who your sugar daddy is. It depends on whether you speak first or the man next door. After saying that, Tang Yen stood up and said to his subordinate beside him, "Continue the interrogation." "Got it, Captain Tang." Tang Yen knew that she wouldn't confess, so he had to think of a way to make either Shen Mei or the man reveal the mastermind behind it. Although everyone knew who it was, there was a lack of evidence. After leaving the interrogation room, Tang Yen called old Qing over. "Investigate Shen Mei's background. Everything, including what happened to her in prison for the past 7 years. I don't believe that I can't find a breakthrough." Chapter 956. Tang Yen didn't want to go to the hospital to see Feng Shanshan and the child. Instead, he wanted to bring the mother and son home. It was so chaotic outside now. Who knew if the Song family would target the three of them again? Everything was fine with the first two people, but now, they had a child. After experiencing so many twists and turns, he didn't want to put his wife and child in danger. Therefore, after arriving at the hospital, he helped Feng Shanshan pack her things. "How's the case going?" Feng Shanshan hugged their child and coaxed him while asking the man who was packing. "It's almost over." Tang Yen carried the mother and son's belongings and placed them on the chair. Then, he carefully took his son from Feng Shanshan's hands. "Go pack up. We'll leave the hospital immediately." "Okay." After lying in the hospital for a few days, Feng Shanshan had long been homesick. "After this case is over, I'll stay at home and accompany you for a few days." Tang Yen coaxed his son and said gently to Feng Shanshan, "I haven't changed his diaper yet, and I don't know how heavy he is. The child has been born for a few days, but I'm still out of it." "Okay." Feng Shanshan smiled and nodded. After hearing Feng Shanshan's answer, Tang Yen freed one hand and wrapped it around Feng Shanshan's neck. He kissed her forehead gently. "It's been hard on you these few days." Feng Shanshan shook her head again because she knew that although this man was out all day, he was worried about her and her son. "After you're done with your confinement, we'll go and thank Fifth Aunt and Auntie Sheng. I'll listen to you." Feng Shanshan now had a husband and a son. She was very satisfied. The couple brought their son back to the house. On the other hand, Xing Xiao had been investigating the new people around Songjiang for the past few days. With the joint efforts of a few people, they finally had a good harvest. According to the information sent by Su Che, this person's surname was Feng and he was known as Uncle Rong. He had been in the underworld for 20 years and later, he cleared his career abroad. He was ruthless and merciless. This Uncle Rong and Song Jiang have been in cahoots abroad. I'm afraid Uncle Rong was the one who handled Lu Zhao's matter. The two of them have been best friends for many years. However, they aren't completely on the same page. Song Jiang's overall goal is revenge, but Uncle Rong is after money. Xing Xiao nodded and nodded. Is that person in Jianchuan now? Xing Xiao asked even as he flipped through the information. Yes, I checked his itinerary. He's only been back in the country for a few days. In just a few days, Lu Zhao. Su Che nodded. One Song Jiang is already very uncomfortable. If there's another Uncle Rong, I'm afraid we'll also encounter a lot of difficulties, especially with the Lu family's matter this time. Zhongting stepped forward to block the disaster. I'm afraid those two people have long regarded you as a thorn in their side and will be happy to get rid of you. No matter what, I will always be an obstacle to them. Xing Xiao did not take that to heart. Next, investigate the relationship between Shen Mei and this Uncle Rong and see if we can find any clues between them. Xing Xiao put down the information and gave Su Che a task. Tomorrow is Lu Zichen's inauguration press conference. We have to attend. After what happened this morning, Lu Zichen's family is probably scared out of their wits. Next, you put in place the security. The family of 3 will naturally be safe and sound. Moreover, Song Jiang should now know that all the problems were with him, not with the Lu family. There was no other use in dealing with the Lu family other than consuming his own strength. Then, didn't the president take all the danger on himself? After Xing Xiao heard Su Che's words, he put down the pen in his hand and leaned back in his office chair. He revealed a smile. If these two really work together to deal with me, it'll save me a lot of effort. I'm just afraid that they'll put their minds where they shouldn't be. Su Che knew that the other place Xing Xiao was talking about was Mu Chichi. However, everyone knew how important Mu Chichi was to him. Moreover, she was pregnant. Compared to dealing with him, it was much easier. This time, the Lu family's suppression of the Yeshang group will expose more shortcomings in the Song family's economy. It won't be long before Song Jiang can't sit still. Soon, it was late at night. Mu Chichi was at home, anxiously waiting for the results of Shen Mei's interrogation. However, the two of them refused to say anything. Even in the face of the evidence, the two of them still showed extraordinary mental fortitude and did not say anything at all. When Xing Xiao returned home, he saw the pregnant woman who was 8 months pregnant. She did not behave at all, so he directly carried her and put her on the bed. From now on, if I don't see you on the bed when it's time to sleep, don't even think about helping me with anything the branch office wants. Mu Chichi leaned against the bed and pouted. I just want to know if Shen Mei confessed. You know very well in your heart that she won't confess. That's why you're walking around the room. Xing Xiao directly exposed her. These two people are well trained. They already have a lot of experience in dealing with such things. If they don't make a ruthless move, they won't let go. Do you know the identity of the person behind them? Xing Xiao reached out and hugged Mu Chichi. He hoped that she would be a little more muddle-headed and stupid. You're pregnant now. You need to rest. Mu Chichi actually knew that she had indeed gone overboard during this period of time. Xing Xiao had fulfilled everything she wanted to do. She couldn't ask for anything more. I'm just afraid that Song Jiang will take an unconventional approach and hurt you. Your man isn't that easy to deal with. Xing Xiao let go of Mu Chichi's round body and pulled up the blanket for her. Go to sleep first. I'll be in the study. Mu Chichi took the opportunity to pull Xing Xiao back. It's been a long time since you told your daughter a bedtime story. Xing Xiao looked at her eyes that were sparkling like stars, so he nodded. Let me wash up first. I don't know why I'm so keen on bedtime stories. Because I can lean in your arms, listen to your voice, and feel your heartbeat. Just thinking about it makes me feel very happy. Xing Xiao chuckled and pinched Mu Chichi's nose. Wait. Ever since she found out that she was pregnant, she had been trapped for 8 months. She couldn't eat what she liked, couldn't play what she liked, and didn't even go shopping or go to any beautiful places. Other than her home, it was the forensics laboratory of the branch office. Sometimes, when he thought about it, he couldn't bear it. So, Xing Xiao quickly washed up and returned to the bed. He lay down beside Mu Chichi and reached out to hug her. What do you want to hear today? Tell me something scary, Mu Qiqi said as she leaned into Xing Zhao's arms. Xing Zhao frowned and put down the fairy tale book in his hand. It seemed that he could only make it up. The winter night was really cold. Chapter 957. The police officer interrogating Shen Mei had been dozing off. However, Shen Mei was in high spirits. She sat on the chair, swaying, but did not say a word. Tang Yan coaxed his son to sleep and returned to the police station. He found that Shen Mei had not confessed yet. He wanted to use some tricks, but the chief suddenly came to the interrogation room. Tang Yan, come out for a moment. Tang Yan walked to the chief and saw the chief introduce him to a person. This is Chief Long from the 9th Division. The reason why he came here is because he heard that we caught Shen Mei, so he specially came to apply for us to transfer her to him for interrogation. Tang Yan frowned when he heard the words 9th Division. He had heard that the higher-ups were investigating Bai Sini's case, but no one had taken action. This time, they had appeared and asked for Shen Mei. I want to know the reason. Song Jiang, Feng Chang, and Shen Mei you caught are all in the same boat. We've been waiting for Feng Chang for a long time, but we haven't seen him make a move. This time, he exposed Shen Mei. Of course, we want to get something new from Shen Mei's mouth, Chief Long explained. Tang Yan, don't worry. When she goes to the 9th Division, she'll vomit everything. It's better than sitting here and letting you guys stare at each other. What do you think? Song Jiang has caused so much trouble. Are you still not planning to close the net? Tang Yan's tone was a little unfriendly. If I hand my prisoner over to you, I won't get any information. How can I end Lu Zhao's case? As long as Shen Mei confesses, I can tell you everything. The premise is that you must abide by the rules of confidentiality. Of course, that's not a problem, Tang Yan replied. Instead of letting Shen Mei be locked up here, it would be better to send her to the 9th Division. That way, the results of the investigation would come faster. After all, the 9th Division was responsible for the interrogation of these major cases. They had much more methods than the police station. Then I'll take Shen Mei away now. I'll leave the other one to you. Chief Long took the person and Tang Yan helped transfer her. After that, he asked the chief, are the people from the 9th Division reliable? Anyway, they can ask whatever you want to know. Tang Yan did not ask any more questions. Instead, he went to another interrogation room. The man who had been treated as a scapegoat was currently looking down at his feet. No one knew what he was thinking. Yang Wentao, Tang Yan shouted. You're Shen Mei's lover, right? In September this year, you were diagnosed with lung cancer. Knowing that you don't have much time left, you decided to help Shen Mei do something big, right? The man in front of her was completely silent. It's fine if you don't want to tell me, but do you know where Shen Mei went? Tang Yan asked the seriously ill man. She was taken away by the 9th Division. Do you know what kind of place the 9th Division is? That place isn't the police station. The police will treat you politely and even serve you tea. Once you enter that place, the only path left for you is to confess or live a life worse than death. The longer you persist, the longer she will suffer. The man finally raised his head. I want to see Shen Mei. Not to mention you, even I can't see her now. Tang Yan answered him directly. The evidence for the kidnapping of Lu Zhao and the Lu family's child is conclusive. You can't deny it, but as long as you tell us the whole story, Shen Mei can avoid a lot of pain. You're in the middle stage of cancer. You know how it feels. If you want to give her a chance, you'd better tell her. The man put his palms together. It was obvious that he was struggling. I can't say it. If I say it, she will die too. Then let's just wait like this. Tang Yan spread his hands and made an indifferent gesture. Anyway, Shen Mei is in the 9th Division now. It doesn't matter if you don't tell her. She will have to tell you everything. After saying that, Tang Yan got up from the chair. This is the last chance I'm giving you. In the future, even if you want to tell me, I won't fight for you to go to the 9th Division to plead for you. I don't know much, Yang Wentao said nervously. Yang Wentao said nervously, I only know that there's someone above Shen Mei, but I've always been working with Shen Mei. I do love her, and I'm indeed going to die. But if the police want me to explain the mastermind, I really can't answer anything. Then explain the process of you and Shen Mei's crime clearly. Lu Zhao's case. I was the one who killed him. Watch your words. The forensic doctor has confirmed that it was a woman who strangled Lu Zhao, Tang Yan immediately retorted. Tang Yan immediately retorted, if you're going to talk about these useless things, I think you'd better not. Shen Mei and I lured him to the demolition house together. I was also the one who did it, but my illness suddenly acted up and I lost my strength. That's why Shen Mei took over, Yang Wentao explained. I was also the one who dumped the body. Then do you know that Shen Mei has been using you? I know, Yang Wentao answered in a low voice. Then do you know that you're her scapegoat? I know too. This was undoubtedly true love. Tang Yan didn't even know how to describe this man who was crazy about love. You can't explain what's behind it, but Shen Mei still has to pay the price for everything she's done. Tang Yan knew that Yang Wentao really couldn't spit out anything. It was no wonder that the people from the 9th Division didn't want him at all. Therefore, Tang Yan got up from his chair again and was about to hand it over to his subordinates to deal with it. However, at this moment, Yang Wentao suddenly stopped him. I only know that the person's surname is Feng. Shen Mei calls him Uncle Rong. Tang Yan turned around and looked at Yang Wentao meaningfully. If something happens to Shen Mei, you want that Uncle Rong to die with her, right? Yang Wentao didn't say anything, but his intention was obvious. Tang Yan finally got some new information. He immediately asked his subordinates to make a statement, while he returned to the office and asked Old Cheng to immediately investigate who this so-called Uncle Rong, who was the Feng Chang mentioned by the 9th Division, was. For some reason, perhaps because of the appearance of the people from the 9th Division, Tang Yan suddenly had a feeling that the clouds were about to be lifted. The Song family's days were numbered. Old Cheng, I'll be able to avenge you soon. When Old Cheng heard this, he immediately became excited. He thought that Tang Yan had never taken this matter to heart, but he didn't expect him to still remember it. Thank you, Captain Tang. Soon, Jianchuan began to fog. As for Uncle Rong, he returned to the Song family with a body full of water vapor. He used several connections to find out a little bit. After Shen Mei was arrested, she was transferred that night. As for where she was transferred, he had no way of knowing. Uncle Rong felt that something was wrong. Although he knew that Shen Mei was very loyal, she was still in the hands of the police. If the police used some tricks to make Shen Mei reveal the truth, the consequences would be unimaginable. At this point, he also knew who suspected Shen Mei and caused her to be exposed. You're tuning into the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.